Oh, yeah. Should be live right now. Excellent. Just, just an improvised boom day. At this time, oh, yeah. Uh-oh. All right. I heard that. That means that the stream is working properly. This is beautiful. A Saturday night where everybody is busy. They're watching fights and doing other stuff, taking care. That's what I wanted to do a show right now. First, I'm gonna share. I'm gonna share with Discord. Then we hit the intro. Shared. Now we shall hit the intro. Here we go.
Are you ready? Call your mama, call your papa, call your friends. The festivities are about to begin. Boom!
All right. Excellent. Good times, good times. Woo! It is Saturday afternoon for me. It should be for you. In order to Arwin, another city. Ah, I adjusted the microphone a little bit so the noise gate, so it closes the microphone when it's background noise. I'm not sure right now if you're able to hear music. Neighbor got some music over there that I can't control, so hopefully that doesn't bother you, and hopefully we don't get a copyright strike for that. Oh fuck! Hold on, struggling with the plug over here. There you go. Just like I don't. It is cold, bro. It got super cold in Florida, USA, big time. And I don't heal. I got this this thing, but it's the cheap cigarettes that I keep smoking. But I'm addicted to nicotine, and I cannot afford to. And I'm not ready to stop. It's a struggle that I got going on. So I say, oh well, fuck it. I feel good. Besides that, we will survive. See a few people jumping over here. John Hawkins, Martin, Matthew Hall, No Name, Mr. Victory Radio, Charlie Welsh. You cannot hear music. Good. I don't see the microphone jumping up and down when I'm not talking, but it is actually chilly over here in Florida. I don't know what the temperature is, but I feel it. I feel it. Yesterday, heavy rains in the afternoon, and then the cold came in, falling with the temperature. Should be like in the 50s. It says 55 over here for me. Dude, I mean, yesterday morning was like 80, 85, probably 90. And then today we got 55. that'll fuck you up. That will really big time. Okay, today I would like you guys, a handful of people here, 14 watching, to hit the thumbs up first, and please support with whatever you can. That will really help me. I mean, some kind of I mean, a little bit of a hole over here. I hope to escape with you guys' help. Not gonna be much, but little by little, gets accumulated, and hopefully I can pull through. Super chat, I still haven't seen the money of the super chat, so that's still there for whoever, whenever, next month, in 2 months. So any help that you guys can hook up with PayPal, I'll appreciate. 23 degrees in Chicago. I heard, I read, uh, it's scheduled to be in mid 30s late later tonight or and early in the morning. It is the highest 30s, mid 30s to high 30s. That's crazy cold. Okay, today it is flip flop versus episode. I say, you know what? I'm gonna go in live just to rant and say hello. I'm popping out here. I don't have any plans because it's really cold, so I'm gonna go inside the house earlier today, and I'm gonna stay. Usually, I stay out here kind of late, checking out on the computer and stuff out. Today, because I'm going early, I say I'm gonna go live for an hour, maybe two. Depends how it goes. Because now I would like to challenge anybody with any topic, any points of view. And if I know about the topic, if I got an idea, I'll challenge you, and I will I will argue against that point that you. What do you think about that? I will be a contrarian for you. That way, you can practice your anger skills. You can practice your patience skills. You can practice your faith skills. So if you want a guinea pig to test your skills with, that is me. Anything that you tell me, I will disagree. So I'm gonna go to this for live and hit it up over there. YouTube live, please. Live is, if you jump in over here, let me know because I might not see Tyler. Oh, close video. Got it. Here. Yeah, it is very solid. Now, because I had the camera up on this, cannot make this. Yeah, I got this camera already. Hey, there you go. The first challenger of the night. We got one. We hooked one. No name. What's up? Oh, no name. I made a challenge. Today is flip flop versus.
Yeah, sorry, it took me just a second to hook up to my Bluetooth.
Hell yeah.
I firmly believe human beings never landed on the moon. Changed my mind.
Well, I'll tell you something. Human beings landed not only on the moon, but also in Mars, Mercury, and Jupiter. Prove me wrong.
I don't believe you. I need some evidence.
Well, all the evidence exists that they landed in those places. First of all, they landed on Mercury in the 40s, on Jupiter in the 50s, Mercury, Jupiter, on Mars on the early 60s, and on the moon in the late 60s. All the evidence is out there. What evidence do you accept? What evidence do you accept?
I would need you to take a GoPro to the moon
Right?
with you and another person filming you at the same time with another GoPro.
That does not
Then maybe,
exist. That does not exist.
well, I'm sorry. That, that just tells me we never went there. We don't have the technology.
Well, there is evidence, but the evidence that you're asking for does not exist. It have never been done. That doesn't mean that 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 event did not take place. That means that the conditions of the event that you want did not exist.
Well, then you shouldn't ask what evidence I would accept because that's the evidence I would accept.
All right. So you will just gonna deny the existing evidence because of the evidence that you will accept does not exist.
Oh no, I'm not denying it. I'm just saying I'm not convinced by the evidence that you've offered so far. So I need better evidence, and that better evidence would come in the form of multiple people with GoPros, preferably civilian funded. If we could get it funded by anybody but NASA, because I don't trust those mugs either.
But I have not
Liar.
provided any evidence yet. I just told you that the evidence exists. I haven't provided shit.
I know, and I've seen all the evidence, and I'm not convinced by it. Therefore, it's not good evidence, right?
Well, there's this company called Hollywood. I don't know if you heard of it.
Right. A company called Hollywood? No, I have not.
Yeah, there's this company called Hollywood, and there's thousands of people working with it. They got some of the best technology out there, and I have seen evidence from coming out of this company. It's not related to NASA, and they have evidence of men landed on other planets like Mercury, all these places.
Wait, are those the ones that make those movies, those science fiction movies?
They also do movies, yes.
Yeah, I can't trust that either, Jose. Sorry. You're gonna have to do better. What
Well,
else you got?
I actually can trust those better because I have met some people from Hollywood, but I have never met anybody from NASA. So I actually
I've met
don't trust.
people from NASA, and they were just terrible people. So I know that's not true.
Do you have any
Terrible.
evidence that you met anybody from NASA?
Yeah. I mean, not on me, but on Gary
Ah.
Wybanga's phone. On Gary Wybanga's phone, I have some evidence.
Gary Wabenga's phone. What the hell?
It's on his phone. I'm sorry, I just don't have access to it right now. I'm busy milking cows.
Dude, where's Gary? Are you listening to me? I need access to your files. I need access to your files.
Or I need either his or Grimm's phone. You know, the one that always doesn't have the evidence on it either. Either one of those will work.
Mm. But doesn't Grimm have a flip-flop phone without internet access?
Yes.
Okay, so
It only doesn't have internet access when he absolutely needs to cite a source. Mm. Right. How you been, man? Sorry I missed so much of your shows of late. I'm trying to catch back up. Sounds like you've been having some hard times, bro. What's going on?
Having hard times, man. Since my account got hacked, I lost a few dollars that I had accumulated on the Google, and I was counting on that to complete my rent and some stuff. So I had a small family emergency, and my parents came in. I had to use a little bit of money I had. I'm behind like 2 months already right now, and I'm like close to get evicted. I don't want to lose this place, so I don't know.
Yeah. Is there not anything you can do to fight it with Google?
No, not really. Oh, I tried everything.
Okay. Damn, man, I hate to hear that. If I had more, I sent you a little yesterday. If I had more, I would.
It's all right, man. All right. Hey, I just push through it. Hopefully, hopefully something happens.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Well, maybe if you can convince me that human beings ever landed on the moon, I might be able to come up with some more money.
Yeah, I can show
hey,
you.
Bro, I gotta let you go, buddy. I'll be listening in.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No problem, bro. All right.
Got Grubus and Kawasaki in the house. Gary Venga, you're in the chat box. We need some files from your phone. What's up, Grubus and Kawasaki?
Yeah, what's up, man?
All good, all good. I am here. I thereby here today. Flip flop I am going versus. Oh, you had Mike in a little bit. No name. If you want to mute on your end. I am here to. No name. You gotta mute, bro. Fuck.
I'm sorry, I keep hitting the mute button and it keeps lagging. So by the time I hit it again, it unmutes.
There you go. That's good. Just leave it. Let it be. Oh, Kawasaki left. He felt threatened. He didn't want to go against the flip flop today. Globus, what you got, man? Make a point, and I will disagree with it.
Make a point.
That's the format today.
Okay. Dude, you just put me in a corner here. Like I don't. I have no. I have nothing to say.
What? I disagree with that. I think you have a lot to say.
No, really.
Yes.
Okay.
You just said you had nothing to say, and I insist. You do have a lot to say. How it goes? I agree with you.
Oh God, Jesus! Like like I said, you put me in a corner.
No, I don't think you're in a corner. You're just a little dizzy, and what you think is a 90-degree angle corner that you're in a room is actually an open field that you can go anywhere you want. You just feel in a corner, but that's mental state you're on.
Okay. What do I have to say?
Well, man, practice your arguing skills. Just make any statement, make any point whatsoever.
Well, this is the thing. Like I don't really take part in the whole Discord when it comes to debating flat Earth. I know that there's people like there's people on your channel that are far more knowledgeable than I am, you know, and I kind of leave it to them to kind of debate the topics.
But why do you want to debate flat Earth? That the first thing that comes to your mind, flat Earth?
I don't want to debate flat Earth. I'm interested in the whole. I'm interested in the whole the idea of a flat Earth. Yeah, it's interesting to me. And the whole thing is like. I don't really know how to explain it, like, but it is interesting to me. But I'm not really somebody that kind of.
Let it out. Let it out. Process it. Process it in your brain and let it out.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to me, but it's not something that I would kind of.
Now that's a hot mic. Now that motherfucker.
What is going on there? Like, there's some kind of weird noise.
Yeah, neighbors make unnecessary noise.
Okay. Well, like I said, like I am interested in the whole flat Earth thing, like, but I'm not that interested in it to the point where I'm going to debate somebody on it, like, you know.
I hear you. I'm not. I'm for debate. I don't debate. I never debated. I haven't debated anybody. I have discussions. I argue with people, try to make my points. But do I call it a debate? No. A debate to me is structure. When there's a host, they ask a question, they give you a time and a slot of time, so you present your points, and then the other person will rebut it, and you got this structure. and I never been part of a debate ever.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm more interested in the idea that there are people out there that kind of are interested or are kind of in the flat Earth kind of idea, you know, and to me, it's like it's very weird. It's just completely strange that there are people out there that think the Earth is flat, and to me, that's, I don't know. It's just very strange, and I I guess I'm kind of like interested in in their perspective, I suppose. You know,
Yeah. So you're interested in the philosophy, the psychology behind the whole thing. Why do they believe like it's strange to
yeah, yeah,
I am very interested into the same thing for the past few years since I left the flat earth and I'm doing this thing myself. I'm interested in that, in the psychology and the mentality behind it. I understand it because I've been there and I didn't think anything of it. But when I sit back and think of myself in that state of mind, it was very strange for me too. Like I was all in, like 24/7, all the time, dreaming and thinking, and everything I looked for, it was related to I want to find this big jewel and this big golden nugget of flat Earth, so I just be famous and send this over, and I'll change humanity forever because the Earth will not be a globe anymore. That was my train of thought in daily basis.
yeah. It's a weird place to be. Like,
There are some people nowadays they actually just look for either definitions or play of words and just to win arguments, just to argue anything against anybody, like what I'm trying to do. Was trying to, but these people don't are not interested in reality on progress and move forward and discover and present new evidence and present nothing new. They are interested in just winning arguments and the play of words and making fun of whatever their misunderstandings. Yeah, very strange. There's no progress whatsoever with most of the flat earthers. Shout out to the background noise, the grinding in the background. That's not me. I thought I wanted to do the show a little late now just to avoid that, but it was really, oh well. Garris, I see you in the chat. Hello, are you new? Because I'm new. And because I am new, Garris, I invite you to Discord. Damn it, here we go again. The Discord server, the Daily Boom, and you can join and present a point, and I will disagree with you in any point that you would like to present. The invitation not only goes for you, goes for everybody on YouTube land. If you would like to join, today is Flip Flop versus Discord Live. Anybody that want to join and want to make a point, I will definitely disagree with you. And if you throw me a super chat making a statement, I will disagree with that statement. Maybe. Shall we see? I'm gonna go on mute for a minute while this ends. Still going. What if I tell you it's still going? I'm gonna stay on mute until that fucker stop the fucking grinder or whatever it is. Yo, Meepet was in the house. Meepet rejoin and talk while there's silence. Grubus, I'm counting on you to tell the audience a story or tell them something, entertain them. There you go.
you're counting on the wrong person. Put it that way.
Come on, man. Well, let's do some shout outs. Besides the people that was here earlier, fuck it. Background noise, it is what it is. Fuck it. Shout out to Charlie Welch, Matthew Hall, Secret G, John Hawkins, D. Ross, Hapas Legos, Larry Scott, Earth is Live, Dora Unku, Marcus Dresden, John Rapp, Gary Webenga, Meraki, Real Cygnus, Peter G, D. Ross, and M2M, Secret G, Meepet 69, Garris, Paul. One more person. Anybody new? Martin! Everybody's here. And also Leel, take the wheel. I'm going on mute.
Hi, I'm in the wheel now. No name. Hi. I don't know what else to say.
Okay.
I disagree.
It stopped.
You
we got a no name versus Leel. I'm going on mute.
You can't disagree. I don't have anything else to say.
I disagree with your hello. How about that?
You can't
Boom.
disagree with that. You can't change my mind. Oh,
I'm not trying to convince you, Lael. I'm trying to convince the audience. Your hello falls on deaf ears.
Are you going deaf? You're that old?
No, I'm just in a Walmart, so it's kind of loud. It's kind of hard to hear. Other than that, how you doing, buddy?
Good. Did you know Farmer's Boy is no longer Jumongus's best friend? It's me.
No, but I don't really follow the drama.
That's too bad. Jumongus is part of the drama, the main drama around here.
I say save it for your mama.
Yeah. I disagree with that. I saw Jumongus hugging Leel, and while he was hugging Leel, he said, "You're my favorite," but he was locking eyes with Farmer's Boy when he said that. I don't know about that.
How do you feel about him locking eyes with you, Farmer's Boy?
I'm completely cool and comfortable with that. I have no issues whatsoever.
I bet he really does. I bet he's seething deep down inside. Just.
He sure sounds like it. I mean, listen to his laugh.
Yeah, I can hear the anger in his little sarcastic chuckle there. He thinks he's hiding it well.
So when he uses that same chuckle on Brian Leakey or Lemonbird or any other flat earther, what do you say to that?
I say he's also hiding it well at those times. Yeah.
I'm so
He's just
glad I
got. He's
traded
he's
in
a
to go to
repressed
bed.
ball of rage, aren't you, farmers? You're just a.
Be careful. I have a certain set of skills.
ticking time bomb, aren't you?
You fucking bet your ass.
Are you guys glad that I didn't say Lemon Bird 3 times?
Rumpus.
Oh,
rumpus,
it doesn't
rumpus.
matter.
Rumpus, Rumpus, Rumpus. I like Rumpus.
Yeah, I keep trying that and it doesn't seem to work. But somebody says Lemon Bird 3 times. It's oh hello.
From the Infernal Pits.
You are somewhere. The pits, yeah.
Well, I believed Leotis triumph for a second. I was like, oh fuck, do I got everybody? No, actually, sound is good. I appreciate that he disagreed that what anybody was saying because he didn't hear any of us. That was good. Pop up your volume, bro.
Take it Jose's having issues with a noisy neighbour from the sounds of it.
Yeah, and I'm feeling good. I don't want to lose my shit, so I'm just gonna let it be today.
That's fair. That's probably the best way. Just let it be.
It's a
There's
good
a song in
song.
there somewhere.
Well, Leo, here's one for you. Sean Hawkins says, "You are not funny or clever." And today is about disagreeing with each other. Do you agree or disagree with Sean Hawkins?
Well, he's always dissed on the Flat Earthers, so I disagree with Sean Hawkins. Sean Hawkins is also a non-funny person, or clever, or fun to be around. I'll put it this way. I'd rather be around No Name than Sean Hawkins.
Ooh, shots fired.
Damn, and that No Name guy sucks.
Yeah.
I agree. He has no name.
Right?
Are you sat on the throne, No Name?
Say
No,
again.
Are you sat on the throne? There's a
I literally no, I'm not sat on the
It's
throne,
like
but
in
I
aisle
literally
7.
ducked in.
He's in aisle 7.
I ducked in here so I could hear because I literally couldn't hear anything.
Oh right, it's got that sound of that sort of echo that you're in a small room with no soft furnishings, if you know what I mean. Oh god, here comes the fucking cat. What do you want? Hmm?
Is the cat a Flat Earther?
No, she's not. She's not that stupid.
Is she smarter than a Flat Earther?
Yes. Oh, hang on hang on. Yeah, come.
I can't see it.
No, well, no, but you'll hear her, no doubt. She just wants to be up on the desk and be a nuisance, don't you?
How do you add a bot to Discord? I know I got one. Even though I don't use it, there's a bot. Google it, man. Google it, Sean.
I don't mean to be rude, Sean Hawkins, but there's this thing called YouTube, has tutorials. It's been out kind of for a while now, and they'll teach you exactly how to use a bot on Discord, I believe. And you can probably trust it because everything on YouTube is true.
Is it?
Yes, and men fly. Humans fly like with their own will, like superpowers, and they poop rainbows too. I've seen it on YouTube.
Oh, that's how you get Skittles, isn't it?
Did you say they poop rainbows?
Yes, that's Skittles. I've seen it on TV. It must be true.
Hey, Sean, speaking about beating dead horses, you're really good with that in Polaris, aren't you?
Oh, dear.
Farmers, or Leo, I didn't get to argue with you. Today's show is flip flop versus. So anything that you say, I will disagree with you. Go for
Oh
it.
well, that's it. That's
Awesome.
easy.
Flip
That's
Flop
easy.
is the best host.
We have mountains of evidence that men landed and walked on the moon.
False. False. I
There you go.
disagree with that.
I know you do.
That doesn't mean
And
that doesn't mean that I agree with No Name. This is a totally different settings that we're on because No Name came in earlier. He was the first participant, and his first point was that men never landed on the moon. So I had to argue against that, right? But now, because you are saying that men landed on the moon, I have to go against it. That doesn't mean that I agree with No Name because this is a new engagement.
Oh well, I missed the start of the show because I was busy watching a film.
My argumentation is this: the best YouTube Jose GG Boom channel is this channel.
I disagree with you wholehearted 100%. This is not the best YouTube.
No, I said the best JG Boom YouTube channel.
Oh, I also disagree because the old Jose JG Boom channel was taken by a person that the first live stream he had over 1,000 people watching. So that's the best Jose JG Boom channel right now.
That's what I was going to say. The one before was much better. Oh dear!
But that didn't have the word "boom" in the name. It was just JG.
Oh no, it was. We all know it was the Boom. It's always been the Boom. Come on.
Well, I had to disagree with you because no matter how you call the channel or the name of the channel, when I copy the YouTube address, the link address, and I paste it somewhere, it doesn't have the word boom anywhere. So this will be the link for my channel, but it's not the boom. It's not about boom. It's just Z9ZVYMOHWW, whatever, you know, kind of a weird.
Oh, I got it. I got one for you, Jose. You have to argue against this. Gary Y. Benga is a flat earther.
Whoa, how dare you? I disagree.
What's your evidence that he's not a flat earther?
Well, I have seen him on camera, full body, and he's got cows.
Did you say he's got couch?
Cows. Moo. Cows.
Oh, cow.
He's got a herd of Dells.
Oh, okay. So then if I were to say Chaiki is not a flat earther, would you disagree with that?
I will disagree with that. Yes, because look at his face. He's got a circular shape with two circular eyes pointing away from each other. He got a big smile. There's no face of a non-flat earther that would look like that. Therefore, Chaik is a flat earther.
How do you feel about that, Chaiki?
I have no feeling about it.
That was predictable. Sharky's too mellow.
Too
mellow.
I wanted to ask a more serious question.
Please, please.
Did you all know that they had a sextant on Apollo 11?
They had the sextant on all the Apollo missions.
Yeah, every single one of them.
It was there as a real sort of, emergency auxiliary spare backup just in case everything else fucking fucked up.
Was it?
it really was a smash the glass in the extreme emergencies and get the sextant out.
No, I have never seen a sextant on an Apollo any of the Apollo missions videos ever. I seen a tool that kind of looked like a sextant, but it's built into the spacecraft or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Not a sextant, just a tool that they say this is a sextant, but it's just a tool just built in there.
it's
Yeah,
measuring
this
angles.
if you see the inside of the command module, there's like these two scopes. I think is one of a better word. That's basically a sextant.
Yep.
It's like like you said, it's built into the actual spacecraft itself.
It's not a handheld thing. There are photos of them training
Indeed, yeah.
and using them on an Apollo capsule. I just googled it and found the photos.
So between the moon and the Earth, they could get their attitude, their position, and also their velocity with using the sextant between that. And then when they're orbiting the moon or orbiting the Earth, they could just get their position and their attitude.
So in the Apollo, there's some built-in gadgets that you can take measurements from this point and this point. You can add them together, and they do the work of a sextant, but it's not a sextant. They are taking measurements with the spacecraft and the whole shuttle thing. It's not a sextant. A sextant is a small tool that you can use in your own hands anywhere. You cannot take that spaceship and I say like, oh, I need the sextant in the Apollo, so I got to take the whole, get a jack it up, or a trailer and a freaking crane, grab this device and use the sextant, because it's impossible.
Yeah.
It's not a sextant. It's the spaceship acts as a sextant.
It is.
No, that's
Well, I
not
mean-
a sextant. That's space sextant.
It's an automatic sextant.
Yeah, it's the device is actually built into the actual set. I mean, it's not. It doesn't look like your handheld one, but it's got all the mirrors and the the readings and stuff like that. They're much the same as a sextant. It's still a sextant.
And it was
You can call it a sextant, but it doesn't make it a sextant.
It is a sextant because you do the same. You do exactly the same thing with with those sextants as you would a handheld sextant. Exactly the same process.
Well, from my fingers to my elbow, that's a measuring tape right there. That doesn't make my arm a measuring tape. It's just an arm that I can do the same thing as a measuring tape, because I can measure. I know exactly by the millimeter how much my arm length and all that shit, and by the fingers. But that doesn't make my arm a measuring tape. My arm's still an arm. The Apollo shuttle is still the Apollo shuttle, and you can take measure. You can look through holes and make math, and you can get to what a sextant will tell you. But that doesn't make the space shuttle a sextant.
Oh, that's a hypothetical argument right there. But mind you, I mean, if you knew the length of your arm from your elbow to your fingers, you could use it as a measuring tape. Why not? I know it's still not a measuring tape, but you could use it as such. But regardless, it's still a sextant. If you knew the length of your elbow, right, between your elbow and your tips of your fingers, you could still use that arm length as a measuring tape. Sure.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Do bear in mind that you're talking to Flip Flop.
Yeah, I know, and I'm aware of that. I'm well aware of this.
That's okay.
Well aware. It's fun.
Yeah, but I agree with that exactly. So my arm can act as a measuring tape, and I need a 4 inches, a piece of whatever, 6-7 inches, and I can just open my fingers or whatever, and I can measure it. I say like, yeah, it's about here, but that doesn't make my arm a measuring tape. So as the Apollo, they build and they drill and they specifically build something in the shuttle. They say, all right, if you look through here, you take these two measurements. This is exactly like a sextant. I mean, it's not a sextant because it's actually a space shuttle that people is on and just cruising around. You know what I mean?
So what would you call it? Because I mean, right, for instance, they really put that in as kind of not really an afterthought, but they thought to themselves, well, okay, what happens if we lose communication with the command module, because they relied on mission control really to help them to navigate, etc., so they can do the right corrections and all that kind of stuff. So they thought, well, okay, what happens if that all breaks down? And somebody said, well, okay, the sextant can be used in the middle of the ocean, right? So why can't we use it in the command module? So that's what they did. So they put all the mechanisms of a sextant inside the actual spacecraft. It's still a sextant because it's the mechanisms there and the measurements are the same process. So what would you call it if it's not a sextant?
Yeah, I'll say that in a second. I just got a PayPal hit by Dora Unku. Wow, Dora Unku with $52. Holy hell. And there's a comment in here. I like this comment a lot. This might help a little, but I guess you would disagree. I 100% disagree with Dora's statement that helps a little, because this helped a lot, Dora. So I 100% disagree. This doesn't help a little. It does help a lot. Thank you so much for your support. I really, really appreciate it. It's like, for real, I mean it. I mean it. Thank you, Dora.
Really, but right, you should actually do the opposite of that. You should actually say, no, that's no help whatsoever.
No.
I know you're not going to do that.
I gotta find a window around it and actually disagree with it helps a little, because I disagree it helps a lot.
Yeah,
that was a solid I disagree with you. Beautiful. They can call the if they get lost and they lose all communication and everything, and they say, fucking hey, we are stranded, we're mechanical, oh shit, we got this, let's look through here, we got a sextant in the ship. They go like, what? Yeah, look through here, all right, give me this measurement, and if you look through here, what is the angle, what is this measurement? They say like, fucking hey, we do have a sextant. They can say that among themselves, even though they know like damn, they actually build this like a sextant, and we can use it as a sextant. Is it a sextant?
Well, it could be. It is modular. It could actually be removed as a whole thing. So, I think it is. I think you could call it a sextant.
It was a sextant. They built it as a sextant. You use it as a sextant. They called it a sextant. It's a sextant.
It can be taken out as a sextant.
Yeah, it just doesn't look like the traditional handheld one that we all know and love, and that the flatheards haven't got a clue about. But it was a sextant. It operated in exactly the same way as a handheld sextant. It just didn't look like one. That's all.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think they never actually had to use one. Even Apollo 13 didn't.
All right. Now, they never had to use that because they were never that far away from the Earth, right? They were still within the Earth's atmosphere, right? They never left Earth's atmosphere.
It wasn't the distance. It was the fact that they never had such a catastrophic failure of the electronics and the communications. Even Apollo 13, it never came to that, did it?
Well, they did actually use a sextant just to cross-check the navigation system, just to double-check, cross-check it. So they did use it. I'm not sure if they used them in the later Apollo missions, but certainly Apollo 8 did, probably 10 and 11 as well. I'm not sure about the rest of them.
I expect that was more just testing to make sure.
Yeah, it could be.
You've trained with it on the ground. Now let's actually see if we can use it in space as it's intended. I mean, particularly on 8, because of course that was the first manned mission around the moon, wasn't it? So
yeah, exactly.
They hadn't actually gone out that far, so I can understand that they go, look, we've got it. Let's just make sure it works as it should, and that we can use it as we've trained to. Yeah, that makes sense. But I don't think they ever actually really needed to use it because.
No, I can disagree with that. No, I would agree with you there. Yeah.
I mean, that's what all those earlier Apollo missions are for. 7, they were in orbit, and that was it. 8, they went to the moon and went around it. So that's their first chance to really test these things out. 9 again was in Earth orbit, and can we actually dock to the LEM and extract it and everything else? Yes, that all seems to work. 10 was the dry run where they almost landed on the moon, but not quite. It's all 11, test as everything else, and then 11, all systems go. Let's actually do it.
Yeah, I suppose also confidence in the navigation systems as well. They probably think, okay, well, we all know it works. It's all good, and that's fine, maybe. But yeah, like I said, I'm not 100% sure about 12 and the rest. I don't know.
No, they might not even have touched it, but the fact that it was there, and certainly on 8 at least they had used it, and yes, this does work as it's intended, and our training's fine. We've trained to use it. We can use it. It's nice to know that if everything goes tits up, there's a backup. Because that's one thing that people who go into space and design these systems know, that there needs to be backups. Well, what if this happens? What if that goes down? They can't just pop back home. They're on their way, and everything has to be done by three poor guys in a tin can.
Guys, I hate to break it down to you, but men never stepped on the moon. You know what? All these missions, right? What was the one that didn't make it? Apollo 10. That the men it was damn it. It was some guys just ready to go and land on the moon, right? And they had to turn.
13's the one that suffered the explosion.
Is that what you're thinking of?
No, not the one explosion. Wasn't there one an Apollo mission that they like the movie that the Tom Hanks movie? Wasn't there an Apollo mission with some guys that were on the way to the moon, but they something malfunctioned and they had to turn back?
That's
Apollo 13. Yeah, 13.
Apollo 13. Okay. Right.
Houston, we have a problem.
Exactly. Yeah, that one. So just like this one, the other missions they actually made it to the moon. But what they just cruised around the moon. They just did an orbit or two. They just cruised around the moon. So they were able, all the pictures, all the video footage from afar, they are legit, 100%. I don't have to disagree with those. There's nothing wrong with it. Now, but all this footage, anything related to the humans, the astronauts, walking on the surface of the moon, landing and walking on it, that is what never happened. That was all manipulated and added on to be presented to the audience. They were unable to do that. All the evidence that we have about they planted the flag, they collected rocks, they fell and they hopped back in, they banged some stuff around, they drove the little buggies, they played golf, you got all the steps, all the paths, the tracks that they did with the walking on the moon. All of that is created for the audience. That didn't happen.
But don't forget, there wasn't just Apollo 11 that all happened. I mean, there was no buggy on Apollo 11, 12, or 13, or 14 for that matter. I know 13 didn't land, but it's 15, 16, and 17. So they didn't do all that in one mission. Don't forget, they landed 6 times.
Yeah, no,
right?
well, they landed on. They took off from Earth and they landed on Earth, but they never landed on the moon or left the moon because they never landed. They went to the moon, they cruised around, and then all the footage was ready to be presented in real as if it was happening in real time because they were that far. They were cruising around the moon, and then everything else was just added on for the audience. In all of the missions, yeah. Human have never walked in a foreign body outside Earth.
So then what I would then ask you then is, because then what you're suggesting is that all the footage of all the Apollo missions were all faked, right? So I was going to have to then ask you for evidence of how it was faked.
Just the footage of men on the surface of the moon.
Yeah, on all of them. Because what I always say, right, if you're gonna say, oh, okay, well then Apollo 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17 were all faked, then all the other Apollo missions must have been faked. If you're saying they're faked, then you've got to say that the whole of Project Gemini was also faked because there's footage of that, there's photographs of that. Same with Project Mercury. You're gonna have to debunk all those images and those and that footage as well, because they're all intrinsically linked.
But why does it have to be fake? The only thing that was fake was the man on the surface of the moon, bro. You didn't get it?
Oh, okay. So the rest is fine. So they got to space and they did all the things that they actually needed to do to actually land on the moon, but they didn't actually land on the moon. Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, yes.
Okay, but like again, I'm going to have to sort of say to you, like I always do, is well, what's the evidence of the faking? How was it done? Who did it? And who are they? And where are they? And are they all dead? Are they all still alive? Why hasn't anybody that was directly involved in it confessed to it on their deathbed?
I don't know what you're asking. You're scattergun and just spitballing questions with no sense whatsoever. You got to go one at a time.
Okay, all right, then one at a time. Okay, so with all the people that were involved in faking it, it must have been done in a studio. So who were they, and why have they not confessed on their deathbed? That those who are directly involved in it, that are in the studio doing it all.
Well, the ones that already died, that is like 90% of them, because the only one alive is Buzz Aldrin, right now, of the people that quote unquote walked on the moon.
Yeah, but what about the people that filmed it?
No, but you're talking about what in the deathbed? Because you asked a question, but you split that question in 3 or 4 parts. I'm answering you
Yeah.
one part. I'm answering you of the deathbed of the people that pass away.
Okay.
And then you can maybe ask me one question at a time for the next one instead of starting with one question and just splitting it in many parts. Maybe
Okay.
that would be cooler. You know
Okay.
what? I'll give you the chance. Ask one question.
Okay, right. The studio crew, are they still alive?
The director is, yes, Stanley Kubrick is still alive. Is
No,
he? No, he's dead. Yeah, he's gone.
dead.
Yeah, he's gone.
He didn't confess on his deathbed, did he?
Not to our knowledge, no.
No. And any of the other filming crew, did they confess on their deathbeds? Is there any deathbed confessions from them?
Not that we know of. There's nothing documented of their
No.
confessing.
Okay. Is there any documentation of all this fake filming in a studio?
Not to our knowledge, but it might be.
Okay, there might be, but you know, you could say there might be, yeah, but we haven't found any. So again, where's the evidence that this was faked?
You and me haven't found any. Maybe somebody have found any,
No,
and they're gonna let
I
us
have
know
no-
where is it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so you know, well, if there's no evidence presented, okay, you're saying there might be, but if there's no evidence presented, why should I believe somebody telling me that it was all faked in the studio?
I'm not telling you to believe me. It's true. It was all faked. It was human never walked on the moon. That's the truth.
Oh well, we've gone round in a circle now, haven't we?
Next question. When I ask about all the evidence up there in the moon.
You see, I work on a basis, right, of whether I think something is true on quantity and quality of evidence, on both counts, right? So I look at how much evidence there is and the quality of the evidence. And if there isn't enough evidence, or the evidence or the lack of evidence that there is not of sufficient quality, I'm going to go with the other side. I'm going to go with the side that's got quantity and quality of evidence. And I'm sorry, but people that the moon hoaxes or the moon landing deniers just don't present enough evidence or of any quality evidence, because all the evidence they've presented, well, 99% of it has already been debunked many times over, and it's been going since the days of Bill Kaysing back in the 70s when he started it all. It's all been debunked, and it's still that evidence, that so-called evidence, is still being used today. So
until today, because you haven't debunked anything that I have said. So.
Oh well, we're discussing. I'm not debunking anything. We're discussing. We're having a discussion. I'm just saying that the evidence that that's been presented has been debunked many times.
But I am a special animal, and this is why, because the norm of this moon landing deniers, I call it like that, moon landing deniers, which I am not, because what I don't accept is that the men landed on the moon. Now, the technology have landed on the moon. Why not? There's evidence of technology have already landed on the moon. Lots of it, lots of evidence. But those people don't believe that either. They think the moon is unreachable and it's just never been attempted or done. Yes, a lot of things have flew to the moon and orbited around and cruised around, and a lot of landers have landed on the moon. Not with people.
But why though? Why all those things, but not human beings?
You're gonna have to ask the space agencies why they didn't land people on the moon, because of they were afraid of the loss of lives. Maybe you gotta ask them, not me.
Well, I'm asking you because you give the opinion that you don't think it was possible. That's what you said. So what I'm asking you is why do you think that it's not possible?
I don't think I say it was impossible. I just say it didn't happen.
Well, you did say just a moment ago, I think it's impossible. I'm pretty sure you said that. But you didn't get, okay, so why do you think that it didn't happen then?
So I repeat, you're going to have to take it on to the authorities, like the space agencies, and ask them that question.
Well dodged.
Am I good or fucking what? Damn it, I surprise myself sometimes.
No, that was fun. That was fun.
If people did land on the moon, and I'm not saying they did, but if they did land on the moon, wouldn't they be standing upside down to us?
Yes, yeah. If there was a third person, yeah, if there was a bird's eye view, a God view, looking at both of us, looking at the Earth, and yes, they would be upside down.
No,
But
no, no, not
it's
It would
God.
depend.
For
It
us,
would depend
for
on
us,
which
it will be
which
upside
hemisphere.
down.
It depends on which hemisphere you're in.
Well, I'm guessing they will land where there is light and not dark.
Correct.
So it will be the one facing us, and they will be
always
upside down.
they'll be always there.
So,
They'll be upside down. Yes.
so the Apollo 11 landed on the Sea of Tranquility, which if you draw the equator around the moon, if you like, along the ecliptic, it's kind of slightly on the northern hemisphere of the moon. So again, depends. If you're looking from the southern hemisphere, then yeah, I guess you would kind of appear as if they're upside down if you could see them. I guess, yeah.
True that. Right now, I don't deny that there might be a flag and some pieces of machinery left up there, bogies and just stuff thrown up there. Those things are just upside down. That if you are a flat earther or don't believe in gravity, you think that those things you look up and they might a golf stick and fall in your eye from the moon or something. Yeah, they will think that the moon
So
will be
this,
clean with no dust because everything will be falling to Earth. Yeah, no gravity.
yeah, that picture is wrong because it's upside down. It should
Well,
be the other way.
don't forget there is gravity on the moon. Nobody said there was no gravity on the moon. Nobody said that. 1/6 of the Earth.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Technology could have recorded the amount of gravity on the.
So, what do you think might have caused the tracks that can be seen from the lunar orbiter that is photographed, and you can see bits of equipment, and you can see tracks going around the equipment for various different landing sites that it's recorded.
Right.
What do you think might have caused that?
Like the steps tracks, like in the beach.
Yeah,
Like in the,
like, there's some where you can actually see the step tracks, and some you can actually see where the
There you go.
lunar bodies have been.
I'm glad you
posted one
asked.
of Apollo 15.
I'm glad you asked.
I'm sure you are.
Okay, so those steps, like those beautiful pictures that you buy a little card on the beach and you say like, look at that, just going to the shore, right? Those steps like that. Those are not made by humans, right? So there's
I thought you were going to say that.
there's this rover that landed on the moon, controlled, somehow controlled either I cannot get my words, not remote control, but just don't hold me onto the remote control, but it's just
like a rover, like a rover, like having Mars.
A rover,
Yeah.
right? So they landed this thing, remotely. Somehow they landed this remotely, and they got this little rover. But this rover is like the tanks, like the tank wheels, right? Over here on Earth, you got the tanks. That is this big long roller. But this roller is not just a long strips of like metal or something. They're like little shoes, like shoes, like type of thing, right? And as the rover keep going around, you got this como flop, 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 just making a path as they go along it. There you go. I'm glad you asked. It's sorted.
Oh, I'm gonna have to get you to draw a picture of that sometime, Jose.
Nailed it. I will. Nailed it.
But then I would ask, then, well, I'm gonna have to have evidence of this machine that you've concocted in your head.
That they left it on the moon. They left it up there. All this, look, it's in the picture. Farmer's Boy shared the picture with the little rover with the tracks that makes the tracks.
That's not a rover.
These little metal parts and all this stuff,
It didn't move. But anyway, I'm obviously too tired to be enjoying this.
Yeah, well, you know, I like all this stuff anyway, so I'm enjoying it.
I don't know. I've heard it too many times.
That's good. That's good. I got the
Yeah.
image on screen for YouTube. I'm not gonna screen share over here on Discord because it might, just start lagging and breaking up or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But
yeah.
the audience can see that picture that Farmer's Boy shared. He
Which
said,
one?
Where
Which
is
one?
it? Where did you
Which
show
one are
it
you
to?
sharing?
I got
Hang
the
on,
the one in the bottom that say ALSCP and then descent stage LRB. Got that one.
Yep. Ah, right. Yeah, I'm just waiting for YouTube to catch up. That is a photograph of the Apollo 15 landing site. That was the first one that had the rover, the LRV, the Lunar Roving Vehicle. And they on the last 3 missions, they parked it off at a distance so that they could film the ascent stage taking off. And they had 3 goes at it, and they got it spot on with the third one, Apollo 17.
Yeah,
And that's when you see the famous clip of them launching, and the camera was remotely controlled on the rover, on the lunar rover, and it tracks it going up. The tricky thing was they had to allow for the time lag between the signal leaving Earth, getting to the moon, and activating the camera. And they didn't get it right on 15. They didn't get it right on 16, and they just about nailed it on 17 on the third go.
Yeah.
That's why the lunar rover was parked off at a distance. They didn't drive back to the lunar module and just leave it there. They parked it at a distance and walked back so they could use the camera to film it. But yeah, it took 3 goes, didn't it?
Yep. Where was that one posted in which room?
On the Daily Boom on Sensor.
Okay.
Just now, a few minutes ago.
There's that photo from Apollo 12 because they landed next to one.
I'll share that one too. I'm gonna share. I got that one on screen right now. Yeah.
I can't remember which surveyor it is, but they landed within walking distance. The surveyor probe had landed there. Well, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 years prior, because they used the surveyors to literally survey potential landing sites. And Apollo 12 came down. Well, you can see the lunar modules in the background. They came down close enough to walk over to the surveyor, and I think they retrieved a couple of parts of it, so they could analyse, the structural integrity and material quality of the thing that had been sat in the vacuum for a few years. I think that's the only mission that came down near anything.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
I can't remember which Surveyor 7 or something. There's quite a few. They sent quite a few up over space for a couple of years.
Yeah, it was one of the surveyors. There was a couple, at least 2 or 3 successful ones before the moon landing.
Yeah,
from NASA.
Might have been 7 or 8. And so, like I say, they landed close enough that they could, let's walk over and have a look, because of course they hadn't got the lunar rovers then.
So in history of humanity, everything comes. Most of the things become cheaper to do, like to build cars and vehicles, to build houses, to travel, to do all kinds of things. Things get cheaper with the time because something new is super expensive, and then until they perfect it, then they get it massively, built and shit like that, and shit gets cheaper, like
Yes.
public transportation.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
Right now, what happened with the moon travels? Oh, it got really expensive, right? It is almost impossible and got really expensive, right?
No. The problem was that they'd been allocated a huge budget to get man to the moon, and they did that, and then they said, "Yeah, okay, we've got better things to spend the money on," and that's exactly what happened. And NASA were told, "Right, you've done what we asked you to do. Thank you very much. You're not getting all that money now. You're getting a much lesser amount of money because you've sent men to the moon. We now want you to concentrate on reusable spacecraft and concentrate on the space shuttle." So that's what they did.
Yeah, and of course, the purse strings are controlled basically by politicians. Politicians rely on public opinion. Public opinion basically was, well, okay, we've done it now. We beat the Russians. We don't really care anymore. There just wasn't the interest. So, therefore, funding's going to get withdrawn. So it was decided fairly early on, not long after Apollo 12, or maybe even June to Apollo 12, that we're going to cut it short down to Apollo 17. There was going to originally is going to be up to Apollo 20, and then maybe even building a moon base as well. There was things like that discussed, but no, that was all.
Well, this was all well established by the time Nixon became president.
It was. Yeah.
And he really wasn't keen on it at all.
No, he wasn't.
it was all Kennedy driven, and then of course
Yeah.
Kennedy's assassinated. And with Nixon in power, he was already sort of making noises about sort of scrapping it because
Yeah.
the money, and of course you got to remember at the time the Vietnam War was a major thing and a major expense, and yeah, although you know commitments were made and he backed up those commitments, he really wasn't for it at all.
Sorry, I did a few timeouts in YouTube. Nothing personal. I just wanted to delete the evidence. We cannot. I gotta delete my own comments because I typed the word Nazi. I don't want the word Nazi keep being typed in the YouTube chat over and over and over. Don't do it, anybody, please. Don't type the word Nazi in the YouTube chat. That will get you. That will get you a timeout. Boom. As I said, nothing personal. Just wait your 300 seconds. Those who got timeout and come back and just use the N word. Like I'm gonna instead of that I'm gonna type the caps N or something. Don't type those words.
Well, and of course the point that was being made was completely fallacious anyway because they didn't start NASA.
No, they did not.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it because agreements or disagreements. I'm just saying it because of the words, the specific words that the YouTube algorithm will catch. Yeah, and I don't want a banner related to any of that organizations or anything of that because of the word being typed in the chat box. That's all I'm doing.
That's perfectly understandable. But yeah, the point being made was, of course, wrong. I mean, yes, we all know that the one of the key players in getting men to the moon, the designer of the Saturn V, was Wernher von Braun. Yes, and we know his background and his history. Yes, but that's not what formed NASA.
Yeah, I mean, Wernher von Braun didn't actually join NASA until about a good 2 years, well, almost 2 years after NASA was formed.
Yes,
And
because the
like
company he was working for was incorporated into NASA, wasn't it?
Yeah,
can't
the
remember which.
JPL, I think, unless I'm might be wrong about that. Yeah, so they were. He was basically working for the Air Force, really, at the time, or well, some part of the military anyway. You know, obviously for missiles. But yeah, so there was incorporated into it, and then he was put in charge of building or designing the Saturn V and developing the Saturn V from that point onwards.
Can I throw a holy shit? Root nerds just blessed me with a big PayPal hit. He says, "Stop staring at my PP." Truth Nerds. PP is the abbreviation for PayPal. So I was like, Truth Nerds, I'm just looking at you, PP. Come on, you gotta give me some of that. And he actually gave me a big chunk of in PP, $100. Yo, Truth Nerds, thank you so much, bro. That does help a lot. And there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and you guys are brightening it up. Thank you so much.
Oh, here we go. It wasn't the Air Force. It was the Army. He was working at Redstone Arsenal.
Redstone, that's it.
And of course, Redstone was the first rocket they used for the Mercury missions.
That's right.
It's Mercury Redstone before they used the larger Atlas and it became Mercury Atlas.
Yeah, the first two. Yep.
So that was he was working for the Army designing ballistic missiles.
Yeah, I stand corrected. Thank you, Farmers.
Quite all right. And of course, NASA evolved out of, and I never know how to pronounce this, NACA, the NACA, which had been around for donkey's years.
Yeah. But there was so many. I mean, the reason why they created NASA really was to centralize everything because they had so many different projects with missiles and engine development and rocket development and spacecraft development, all these stuff going on and stuff like that. So they wanted to centralize it all into like a civilian industry, as it were. So that's the main reason why they did it, really. But of course, then obviously to move forward the development into going into space, and then of course then. You know, Kennedy wanted to then go to the moon and to beat the Russians and go onto a big dick waving contest, which is the reason why the Apollo, why it was all started in the first place. It was a big dick waving contest. Maybe I shouldn't have said that on stream. Sorry.
No, I think that's
actually fine. You misspoke. That it's a dick measuring contest.
Dick measuring contest. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
I mean, it was the NACA, the forerunner to NASA, that they developed all sorts of things. Some of the X-planes, and the X-15 that a lot of the astronauts like Neil Armstrong flew. That was all NACA, the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics.
I think we can make this a little more even on the argument, because we got fetishists here, Lemonbird, right? Lemonbird. Today is Flip Flop versus, right? And this Meeped, no, M2M, he challenged me on telling me like the moon landings are real. They told me, and I said, you know what? I agree with the moon landings being real, but there was no men. No man never ever stepped on the moon. No men have ever stepped on a body outside the earth. They have I say, and give me your thoughts after this, Lemonbird. They have launched things to the moon. They have gone like really far from the earth to the moon. They have cruised around the moon. They have do the orbits or whatever you call it. They're cruising around, and they just landed a couple like remotely they landed some stuff and they left some evidence up there. That's why we can reflect stuff to the moon. They got some little rovers with little footsteps that they can leave some steps for people looking. They say, yeah, men walk on there. I call bullshit. Technology have landed on the moon. They have gone there, but no men have landed on the moon. Where do you draw the line on you agree or disagree with me?
Well, I'd have to disagree, because the WikiLeaks revealed what appeared to be them, faking the moon landing shots as if they're in a studio in Hollywood or Nevada. And so based off of props, showing up on some of the quote unquote moon set, Bart Seabrill's A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, and the impossibility of a vacuum void next to a pressurized container, it can't quite be what they're telling us. At best, they're shooting it in a studio and we're under some sort of firmament dome with a slight zone of evacuation underneath it, but we can't get past that firmament, it appears, or go to the moon beyond that firmament.
Are you aware that
I got one follow-up for him. So honestly, you don't think that today men that have advancing technology so much and we are so ahead of our own time that men hasn't been able to launch a vehicle from Earth and go close enough to the moon to drop remotely another smaller vehicle? You don't think that has even possible?
No, and if they haven't gone to the moon, well, then the rest of space exploration is a farce as well, because logically one would assume that they first need to go to the moon before they can make any additional steps. So that calls the rest of the space, exploration in question. It would have to be something else other than what they're telling us specifically.
You know that WikiLeaks thing you're talking about? You do know that that was actually made as a joke, right?
Really?
Yeah.
A joke as in they didn't really go to the moon, or
No,
a joke
no,
as
no,
in
no,
they
no,
still went to the moon, they were just
no,
joking about this, or what?
That's not what I said. You're putting words in my mouth. No, what I said was that particular movie that was leaked from WikiLeaks was made as a joke, and it was given to WikiLeaks because then if you look at it, like for instance, the spacesuits, for example, are all baggy and all. It just looks ridiculous. The set doesn't even look anything close to what you've actually been shown on the television images and all the rest of it. The lamp falling down from the ceiling and stuff like that. It's awful, and it was meant to be joke. That's what it was. It was meant to be a parody. And it was put into WikiLeaks as a big sort of like thing to see how people actually fall for it, and a whole lot of people have fallen for it, including yourself.
Are you talking about the ones that appear to have Buzz Aldrin and other people in outtakes, as if they're faking some sort of moon landing? Is that what you're talking about?
It's all mixed in with real images and that studio stuff. It's all mixed in. It's all just fully edited with real stuff as well. It was all meant to be a parody and a joke.
What was meant to be a parody and a joke? That
basically there's
on the way to the moon.
Yeah.
Is that it?
No. He's talking about something else. There's a video that come from WikiLeaks, and basically what it was. One of the part of it is shown of this studio. It would appear that they're actually filming the moon landings in this studio, and part of it you see this studio light fall down, and they go, oh dear, oh ha ha ha, and all the rest of it. That's part of it. But then what they've done is they edited the video mixed in with all kinds of other different clips of real clips of Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and getting into the rocket and all kinds of different things like that. And it's it was just all a big joke. And none of it has been proven to as proof of that it was faked in the studio by Stan Kubrick. Stan Kubrick, by the way, he was very anti-authoritarian. He despised authority, and no better than Stan Kubrick's daughter actually said in a tweet some years ago, and said that this is all just nonsense. Look at what my father was and what kind of person he was. If he had worked with a government, she felt that he probably would think that he was really going against his principles quite often. And if you look at some of his films, it really reflects what his thinking kind of was. So he just wasn't that kind of person, let alone there was no documentation, no evidence, no confession on his deathbed of any kind of thing that he was actually involved with. So there's no evidence of it at all. There's no evidence that it was faked in his studio whatsoever. None.
All right, let's give Lemon opportunity to answer or address that. Maybe kind of repeat, like stand your ground, and hopefully don't interrupt Lemon whenever he is. Just let him get the flow for a minute or two.
Yeah, that's fine. I've got to go in just a minute or two anyway.
Yeah.
Well, the general trajectory of the moon landings stopping and stalling and not progressing and going forward is very unnatural. And the strange progression of technology where normally once you go to the moon, you just keep going subsequently, and it keeps progressing where, this moon landing stuff appears to have stalled, stopped, and not continued is very unnatural. That makes people say something's going on here.
Unnatural at all.
The progression of the technology make people suspicious alone.
Well, we I don't know if you heard, we were just discussing why it didn't move forward beyond 1972. We were just discussing that. As you well know, NASA is funded by public money. So public money is controlled by politicians. Politicians work on the system of public opinion. Public opinion after Apollo 11 and especially 12 dropped. They weren't interested in it anymore. It's all controlled. I mean, that's one of the reasons why the biggest reason why it stopped. They had beaten the Russians. They had no reason to go at it. So the public opinion was just like they weren't interested. So therefore, the politicians won't. They want votes. So they're going to do what the public opinion says or what's popular. So therefore, the funding just wasn't there. So they didn't fund it. And that's what we were just talking about just a little while ago. And that's quite easy to explain. And there's nothing unnatural about that whatsoever. Because unlike nowadays, in those days, there was no private funding for the space race. None.
They're getting $30 million a day. And there's more technology in my phone than in the whole space program. You're telling me that they can't go back to the moon? I mean, at that point, I'm going to have to call incredulity. I just don't see anything possible, or consistent from what you're saying based off of those parameters. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it.
You're talking about, right, you're talking about two different things. You're talking about technology and you're talking about the reasons why they didn't go back. Right, the technology that they used in those days, and the reason why they wouldn't need to use it now is because back in those days, it was a risk to go to the moon. And the risk, we're not prepared to take those kind of risks there and then. I mean, for instance, Buzz Aldrin said that he had a 1 in 3 chance of not returning. We're not prepared to take those kind of risks now. So the technology they had there in those days, quite often as well, was, for instance, like the development of the engines on the Saturn V, the F1 engines, right, was a lot of it was done by slide rule. It was done by hand. A lot of calculations. They had no computers to do those kind of designs. So the skills and the engineers that they actually did that have all been lost. And quite often, all the little intricacies of of those engines in particular were put down on little notes of paper. They have built an F1 engine, but a much simpler way. But it was, it was a difficult process to actually do. So why not do things much, much safer? So it wasn't like a case of developing technology. It was old technology. It was a different technology. So now we've got different technology. It's a little bit more difficult to get to the moon, but now they've actually developed some technology which they're going to be doing very, very soon to go to the moon again. And also, like I said, I've answered your question about why they didn't go back. I mean, that's a different question when you're talking about the technology. So anyway, it was a nice discussion. Anyway, I've got to go now, sadly. Okay. Take care.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I call the event of these quote unquote 6 moon missions that men went to the moon. I call that one event because it took place continuously within one small period of time. Now, it's been over 50 years and they haven't returned. I call bullshit. Whenever a man goes, others follow. Anywhere on earth, anywhere, anything that men have discovered, others have exchanged hands. More people follow, people build, people conquer, people do everything to repeat and go back to it. But the moon, no, that's just different. The budget, this big giant list of reasons. I was gonna say excuses, but every time I say excuses, you guys get triggered. But they are excuses. Anamorphic Mind for $5 super chat. Thank you very much, Anamorphic Mind. The moon is actually made of cheese. I have proof. Wallace and Gromit was there. Wallace and Gromit? Damn. I think I'm gonna have to check that out because my source of the moon being cheese is Mr. Sensible. So I'm gonna have to look into that. Thank you, Anamorphic Mind.
It's a great claymation, like stop motion type animation show. It's really good.
Oh, nice. Is that from like 1912? Something like that. From the early 1900s.
It's kind of, well, it's more like claymation. You remember the dancing raisins, the California raisins from the 80s? They would sing "Heard It Through the Grapevine."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's like that. And as a follow-up to your statement that any time on Earth, think about what you just said, Jose, on Earth. Anytime man has gone somewhere on Earth, another man has followed. I agree with you. There's air to breathe when you get there. There's water to drink when you get there. There's food to eat when you get there. There is none of that on the moon. Everything on the moon is trying to kill you. And when Europeans first went to the New World, there was nearly a 500-year gap between when they went the first time and when they went back. And there was air to breathe when they got there, and there was food to eat when they got there, and there was water to drink when they got there.
So there were many, after the first time that they went over there to discover the old world, there were generations that never believed that they reached that far, right? There were generations of people.
500 years of people who
So there were
believe.
500 years that they didn't believe they reached until now. It's a common thing to do. Now I mean, there's no way that nobody can deny that. Now, also me in America, I cannot deny that Europe and Africa and all those places, Australia, all those places exist because it's accessible now. It's easy to corroborate that exists. For the moon, is we are in that 500 years gap now that I don't have to accept it. There's no evidence for it until it happens again and it continues happening. Let me finish. Now, let me finish my thought. I'm going to have to repeat my last part. We are in that, me and many other people, we are in that 500 years gap since the men first went to the old world, to this new world, and they discovered it. So we are in this 500 years gap that I don't have to believe it. There's no evidence for it until and when and if they do it again and continues to do it.
I remember this guy named Flip Flop earlier saying there was mountains of evidence for it. You disagree?
Yes, I disagree. I don't recall it.
Yeah, that Flip-Flop guy, he's full of shit. I hear you. So anyway, when you say there's no evidence, seriously, like if a satellite image that orbits the moon that takes pictures every couple of minutes isn't evidence, what is it?
Sorry, man. You're going to have to repeat that. I wasn't paying attention.
Well, we have lunar orbiters that go around the moon. And they take pictures of the moon's surface all the time. right? And we've got images of the equipment and the footprints that we left behind, the flag, the rovers, the landers, things like that. So how is that not evidence?
That's evident that there's something there. That's not evidence that humans stood on it. That humans put it there. You weren't hearing me? You weren't listening to me for real?
No, I listened. I was in Walmart, so it was kind of hard to hear.
So you want me to repeat the whole argument that
No.
men never walked on the moon?
Did you bring up the footprint?
Yes, I did. You're gonna have to listen to that again.
Okay, I'll go back and listen. So don't repeat it.
Yeah. But all the evidence is there. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if there's evidence, I don't have to deny it because I don't have to say this footage that Farmer's Boy posted there is fake. I don't have any evidence for it being fake. But it didn't have to be men that did that. That did those. Technology could have done that as easy or better than it was done.
Does that take something away? If we sent robots in the 60s and 70s, would that take away something from it, from the achievement?
No, that's what I think it could have happened.
Why do you find it more likely that we sent a robot in 1969 than we did a human being?
Well, you're gonna have to ask NASA about that, bro. Why they didn't send men?
No, I'm asking you. Why do you find it more likely?
Oh, I don't have an answer. I'm gonna have to call NASA and ask him why did they send robots and technology instead of humans? That question is for them, not for me. No name, sorry.
They're not the ones that believe it. I'm asking you why you believe it. Why you're convinced.
It's not about belief. It's about they sent technology instead of humans. You're gonna have to take it with them.
But that's your belief that they did that. You don't have any evidence.
No, it's not about belief. It's about what they did. It's about them. It's not about me, you know what I mean?
But they're not the ones that claim they sent robots.
I didn't claim that. They actually did send technology and robots instead of humans.
So who is making the claim that they sent robots instead of humans if it's not you?
Well, you are the one saying that they sent humans. You are the one making a claim here.
I'm not the one making it. I'm repeating a claim that I have evidence for, that I am convinced of, because we have landed people on the moon. We have footprints. We have the technology that they left behind. We have the tracks in the dirt. We have the, the rocks that they brought back,
With all honesty, I don't think we can see footprints. They tell us it's footprints, but I don't think you can tell it's a footprint.
Not even the flag. There's no evidence of a flag in the moon.
Well, that's because the ship from Independence Day knocked it over.
Today, can you show me any evidence of the flag on the moon in recent times now today?
Sure, let me see.
Do you think that this picture that Farmer's Boy shared 4 minutes after the hour is there evidence of the flag in that one? I'm not talking about footage that you want to bring me with men chilling and planting it on the moon. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about footage that can be taken in the past, that have been taken in the past 50 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking up. Lunar orbiter footage of things we left behind on the moon.
All right, hopefully we can see that flag and not a dot, and you tell me that's the flag.
Yeah, no, those images not good enough to see flags.
Hello, Anna Anderson. Are you new? I am new.
Hannah is very...
Lemonbird left. Did Lemonbird feel threatened with M2M? All right. Chris Berry, they showed us footprints and a flag. Must be real, bro. Indeed. I agree with you. Just take it. I just take it and go with it. And not only take it and accept it, but I must convince those who don't believe it. Like it's my duty to convince those that don't believe in the moon. the moon, in the men walking on the moon.
I think it is such an odd belief to have.
What is odd about it? I mean, I don't know if you do, but people that
because there is so much evidence for it. There are other things that that have far less evidence for them that I can understand. Like if Leif Erikson came back to Greenland and said, "Hey, I found this new continent," and he didn't come back with anything different, I could understand why people wouldn't believe it, right? But we come back with rocks from the moon that have a different chemical composition than what we have on Earth. That's pretty strong evidence to me that we went there and we grabbed some shit and we came back.
So who will be the arbiter of what is strong evidence and what is not? Like, some people believe in religion and a God. Who is to determine that they are correct or they are not on their belief?
Well, I would argue that there's far more evidence that we landed on the moon than there is for God. But people believe in God every day. Right? I've never seen anybody raised from the dead. I've never seen anybody walk on water.
Who determines this?
Regrow and me. I determine what evidence convinces me. Just like you determine what evidence convinces you. There is no pope of conviction. Only you are the final arbiter of what is convincing. I have been asking you over and over again why questions, and you keep dodging those. The questions I want to know are the psychological questions about why you are convinced of what you're convinced of. And you refuse to answer that.
I answered all the questions. I answered all your questions.
No, you didn't. You kept referring us back to NASA, like I was talking to NASA.
Well, you're asking me questions about some reasons. So why do I think they did this or that? They were not my reasons. They are the ones that did that. The event took place. They are the ones that send machinery instead of humans. You gotta ask them, bro, not me. You don't ask me why they did something.
But you're the one proposing that belief as if it's true. You're
No, I'm not.
You are.
No, I'm not.
You make a positive belief statement. You may not realize you're doing it. You may not want to admit you're doing it. But when you make a belief claim, you're making a fact claim. You're making a claim about reality. You are saying it's more likely that they sent technology to the moon than people in 1969. And I'm looking at the things that we brought back, and I say it's less likely because the technology that we had in 1969 wasn't good enough to do the things that we did while we were there. If you had said this happened in 1989, I might disagree.
It was good enough to land people on the moon, right? With the technology of 1969. That's tight.
Landing something on something is actually fairly easy. It's the getting around and doing stuff quickly that isn't easy. And those machines that we send to Mars cover inches a day, where those people covered miles a day. We don't have the technology now to cover the amount of ground that NASA astronauts covered in 1969 today, much less in 1969. So that's why I find it less likely. Do you understand when I give my rationale, my reasoning for why I believe something? I find something less likely. My confidence level is higher in a human being be able to get out of that lander and drive around in a rover much faster than a robot, because those robots are slow. And we have evidence of that today, that those robots are slow. Humans...
No. Hold on. You say they couldn't remote control this rover from Earth?
No, I never gave that reason. I said they're slow.
Why would they be slow?
They are, historically. All the images I've ever seen of them are slow. I've never seen a fast robot on a moon or a planet. And I work in robotics, and I know how slow robots are. So I think I have some background in, how robots move. And they're done that way on purpose because a human being can quickly adapt to his environment. If he sees a rock, he can just move his foot and step around it. But those robots are dumb.
You can do it remotely.
Yeah,
but it's not Mars that you need to wait a minute and a half, or you're too late to make a turn. It's only 1 second.
Fair. Do we have evidence that we had long-range remote controlled telemetry of robots in 1969?
I give you evidence. I give you evidence. Evidence is this is who's hot miking? Grooves.
Sorry, man.
Breakthrough. Can you mute? Breakthrough technology like rockets were able to be launched and sent hundreds of thousands of miles away from Earth. That means that they was also good technology of robotics and remote control vehicles and other objects, because this was the biggest company just bringing all kinds of the best inventions ever. Nothing that humans have ever been. Have anybody ever seen a rocket being launched hundreds of thousands of miles away from the Earth? No. Have anybody seen robotics that can be just remotely maneuvered and going 10, 15, 20 miles per hour? No. Do you have to know that information? You don't have to know everything that they do, bro. That is a public company bullshit. So many private shit they people do. We don't know not even 25% of what they do over there. Boom.
Okay, so just because you can make a rocket go far doesn't mean you can do other fantastic technological innovations as well. Launching a rocket doesn't make a Tesla, right? Launching a rocket doesn't make an iPad. Launching a rocket doesn't do any of the high-tech shit we have today. So an advancement in ballistics technology does not equal an advancement in robotics technology. That's a fallacy.
And I appreciate the psychology, the way you process the way you arrive to conclusions because of how you think that of the evidence on who determine what is true, what is not, your justified beliefs and all that. I appreciate the way you think. I appreciate your perspective and your take on life. That not everybody agrees with you, but if you are happy with where you are today, I applaud you. That you are very confident. Stick by it, man. Stick by your guns.
I do. That's why I like arguing with you, Flip Flop. I mean, Jose. Or Hose B. Bros before hose.
Big shout out.
Anyway, I got to get these groceries out of the car. Love you, brother. Talk.
Hannah, what's up, Hannah? Dude,
what's up?
I
up?
left the game server a while ago, months and months and months ago. I just couldn't take it anymore. Now I have to agree. I listened to it on YouTube, but I cannot be in the server because I'm gonna want to go in. But Pete Che and John Bernard, there's some people in there. It's just so like I cannot take it anymore.
I know, it's mind-numbing, isn't it?
Too much. It is too much of. It's a lot of nothingness.
Sometimes we get in good conversations late at night when all the retards are gone. I mean, all the other people are gone.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's why I listen, and sometimes there's the just rambling, and I'm like, eh. But either early in the morning or late at night, I enjoy 1 or 2 hours in the background noise, good conversation, and just slow pace, back and forth conversation about other topics, health and politics and all that shit that I actually don't talk about it over here, but I get entertained by listening to those. But when you get a pitch in there, fucking A, it's impossible. Damn.
It is. Jin's even worse than Pete Shea. I spent probably 2 hours the other night just screaming back at him word for word.
By the way, talking about good talk, is Rachie Glover again after yesterday? Is 30 minutes turned into 4 hours?
Nah, not really. But it was good. I think it began really well. She was listening and paying attention, but she went in the mode of like a lot of, she went into this mode of question and always yes or no answers. She took this kind of a Riley sleeping water approach with the definitions, and it got a little strange, but it was fun. It was funny. She was here for like almost 3 hours. Yes.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, her and Stingray, one-on-one, just Rachi and the Stingray.
Oh. Oh, free for all.
Yeah, it was improvised. I did the show in the morning, and Stingray asked her or something. She said like, "Yeah, I'll talk to you in a few hours." Like, "Are you gonna do it? All right, let me do a thumbnail, schedule it." And I did the afternoon show, just a one-on-one discussion, no debate, and it was good. Stingray had his graphics, computer graphics, and screen share, and the models, and they were kind of breaking it down and analyzing it. So I said like, "Is this the day she gonna flip?" But then she said like, "Nope. I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions and talk about light and the behavior of bending light and refraction and all this shit." It was interesting to listen to, but a little bit of like, oh my god, this ain't gonna go nowhere, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, she hangs around with too many of the other crowd.
I enjoyed that. It didn't go crazy. He didn't insult Stingray. Stingray didn't insult her. It was a good back and forth conversation.
Yeah. No, I haven't heard him in a long time. He must be doing well.
Happy he jumped in. He spends I don't know, his days off. He just like hanging out over here and the afternoons, but he's doing good at work and personal life and work and all of that. I'm happy for him.
Awesome. How are you, Mr. Bro Name? Everybody's a bro in here.
We are either bros or Garys.
Oh, for Gary Wabenga.
Not really. There was from the other crew, the On the Level, the Try Thinking crew. They got this funny thing on calling people their personal names or whatever, because somebody called Raki a Dave, even though Dave is the name he used to have in his channel. So he started calling certain person Gary, as if that person's real name was Gary. So I was like, who the fuck is Gary? I never seen this name before. Unlike Dave, Rakia used to be Dave, but this other person, never been Gary. So why are you calling him Gary? You know what? I am Gary. So I am JG. JG stands for Jose Gary. Now, and we got now the Gary Webenga. Gary, that's questionable. I don't even know.
I am the real Gary.
I don't even know if you're the real Gary, bro. That's questionable for me.
I'm the real Gary.
Oh man. Gary got
Are
excited. You got excited because you thought we all changed your name for you, but it wasn't you, guys.
No, I actually kind of knew the story a little bit, but I still like it. Everybody wants to be Gary.
I don't know about that. It says here you're a snowflake. Is that true?
That's true, Gary. You're a snowflake.
Whatever you mean by it, I don't know.
Can you define a snowflake in Discord terms, Anna, from your perspective, and see if Gary will fit the description?
Oh, of a snowflake?
Yeah.
Gee. I don't know if Gary's really a snowflake. I know Chris Berry's a snowflake.
What does it mean?
Someone who cries a lot when they get pinned against the wall.
I hear you guys do that a lot.
What? Never.
All the time.
You're
It goes on both sides, I would say. I'd say both sides do.
Nah.
Yeah, both sides accuse each other of being different things, and both sides are doing all the same stuff.
Oh, yeah, we do accuse you of being stupid.
I accuse you of being stupid. See, I'm right. I think the same thing right back. So it goes both ways.
Have I ever called you stupid? I don't think I've even had a conversation with you.
So, Gary, can you see the chat now, or are you busy at the something?
Can I see what?
The chat. Or are you driving? Doing
The chat on the YouTube?
Chat on Discord.
Yeah, I can, but if I click over to it, everything will start roboting. It does every time. Then I have to hang up and come back on.
Click on chat?
Yeah, I click on it, but if I start roboting, I'll have to hang up.
You're looking because the chat?
Do you think they're onto you, Gary, that they make you not, technology doesn't work properly because of your truth.
Oh no, I'm on the chat. I'm on the chat. The chat works actually. It's when somebody tries to share a screen, my phone will just start roboting.
No sharing string. So
No, I'm looking at the chat.
Yeah, we're
you
doing.
remember the other day you claimed the mountain cast a shadow from above on the
what?
cloud. The mountain, the shadow that the mountain cast on the clouds, you claimed it's above the cloud.
Yes.
Below.
Yes.
I'll post 2 pictures and tell me if you see any difference.
You didn't post any pictures.
No, I said I will. So it's pictures that have been posted here before. Just post them again.
It takes a while. He's all the way on the other
Well,
side of the world.
I don't even need your pictures. The sun is
Oh, you
always
do,
above
you
the
do.
clouds. It's
Do
never
you see
below the
difference?
clouds.
Do you see difference
Yeah,
between
the
those?
sun is above
That's
something. Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
No. Do you
Same
see the
here.
difference between those 2 pictures?
The one would be farther away. That's above the clouds, the bottom one. And the other one,
Right
the top
on.
picture that you posted, the sun is also above the clouds because the sun is always above the clouds.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
Are you
but
kidding
Mountains,
me?
yeah, sure it is.
No.
The clouds
The
right
question is,
there are the gap. We talked about this before.
if the
There's a
sun,
gap between there. We talked about this very picture before. The sun, the mountain is not lower than the clouds. It's just further away. And I showed numerous pictures of the very same thing.
Gary, pay attention. The bottom one is definitely above the clouds, and it casts the shadow on the clouds. However, there is no gap between the clouds and the mountain. There can't be a gap between them because the mountain casts a shadow from its top to its bottom all the way. There's no gaps.
That you
So
don't
why
think
is
that
there a gap
mountain.
in the top one?
You don't think that mountain is below, or you think the mountain is below the clouds because the picture makes it look like it's below the clouds.
No.
That's simple perspective. Something further away will look lower
Why
than something
is there
closer.
a gap, Gary?
Who
If
cares
it's
why
above
there's
the
a gap?
cloud, it
Who
casts
cares
a
why there's a
shadow
gap?
because if it's above the clouds, you can try it yourself. Try to cast a shadow on something that you're above. You will have the shadow from your feet
Okay,
up
Chikey,
to your
you're
head
wasting your
all
time.
the way.
You're wasting your time
Why
and
can't I
breath.
finish? Why can't I finish, Gary?
Well, because I don't feel like arguing about this because you
Well,
don't have
don't
anything
argue
here.
then. But
You're the
why
one who
can't I
brought it
finish?
up. Okay,
That's
Chikey.
fine. You don't have
Chikey,
to
calm
reply,
down.
Gary.
I don't want to get all excited tonight. I just
Gary,
ate my dinner. I want to
Chaik,
relax.
Chaik, 1 second, please. Gary, 1 second. I want to hear Chaik end of the statement. Go ahead, Chaik, please.
So if you cast a shadow, you cast shadow all the way. If you're above the clouds, above the water, above the sand, the shadow goes from your feet all the way to its end. There's no gaps there. So if the mountain was above the clouds and cast a shadow from above, the shadow would start from the mountain. There would be no gap.
It would, if the sun was below the horizon, like you guys claim in your ball, then that was a shadow going upward. There would be no gap with that either.
Sure, why not?
Because it's the same thing. How can you have a light streak when there's a shadow there?
Well, you want me to
You
show
see
you
all
how
kinds
I
of lit
do it
clouds
here at
underneath there.
home?
If there's
At my home,
if your mountain is a shadow, Chikey, then you shouldn't have any light clouds right there. You got a bunch of them.
You want
Those
me to
clouds are
show you
actually
how I do it at
those
home?
light clouds are actually
On my
further away.
ceiling? On my ceiling? You want to see the gap on my ceiling?
What are we talking about? A ceiling now?
I'll have something that is being casting. The lightning is below. The shadow is above
Chikey,
on the ceiling,
I
and
can make it.
is a gap between what I'm looking at and
I
the
can make a
shadow.
model of any of these, and
Simple,
I can show that
very
if I'm
simple.
underneath it, it will shine
I
that
want you
shadow
to show
underneath
me.
the
I
whole
want you to
thing.
model this. I want you to
Okay,
model the
Jose, just go on from Chaiki. I don't feel like arguing this with it. I just ate my dinner. I'm relaxed. Chaiki's not going to give up. I'm not going to give up either.
I take it back. He is a snowflake.
We've seen it. We've seen the same one over and over again.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he's got all the lit clouds there. Those clouds are farther than the mountain. The mountain's closer than those lit clouds. Yes.
Go ahead.
Yep.
Show me,
Nope.
how you
The sun is low and it's shining underneath the clouds.
Simple, everyday, ordinary perspective.
Show me.
We see it all the time.
It's simple.
Yep.
Gary, show me something that above something casts a shadow with the gap. Go ahead.
Here, I can tell you right now, I've seen the shadows from the eastern Sierra over the clouds numerous times. I've never seen them over my coastal clouds. Why? My coastal mountains. My coastal mountains are much lower than the Sierra Nevada. They never have any shadow. You never see the shadow over the clouds because the clouds go over the top of them with ease. It hardly ever rains on them. In fact, because they're low enough where they're not going to cause the clouds to bunch up like the Sierra Nevada, which are much higher. But I see the shadows when the sun is coming up many times over the tops of the clouds when the sun is rising. I never see them when it's setting over here.
Hey Gary,
because the eastern Sierra ones are high enough to be above the clouds. That's why the clouds have to dump rain and snow on them in order to go over. Yep, and the coastal hills never, and the sun sets over my coastal hills every day.
All right, we gotta get the chance to.
You never see that.
Let me hear, Hannah. Any thoughts so far? This quick interaction that we had going on.
Yeah, I've seen this. This is Mount Rainier. It's about 2 hours away from me. And Gary, the sun can't rise over a flat Earth.
Of course it can. And by the way, I grew up there too. I was about an hour north of Rainier.
Yeah, I'm 2
So
hours
you have
south.
nothing special on that.
Hey Jose, can
I didn't say I was special. I just said this.
I
know
was
the
by Mount Rainier. I know. That's how you act. Okay.
What?
What?
Yeah. Well, it's basically that's what she implies when she says, "I lived 2 hours near Rainier."
I just
Like
said I
that means
recognize the
anything.
mountains. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Well, I know it.
You're
We've seen the
let me
same
give you-
picture.
I need to give you a
We've seen
new
the same
name.
picture many
More
times.
than
It's the
just a
same reason every
snowflake.
time. No, the snowflake's Chaiki.
All right, let me say this. Let me say this quickly. We have a super chat by John Rapp. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And he say, Gary, turn off voice activation on your mouth. Turn off voice activation on your mouth. That's so strange. Oh, I'm still trying to process.
That was so clever. Where did he learn that from?
Pastor
His mom
Kalik,
told him to
what's
say
up? You got a question for Gary over here, Point? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, so how you doing, Jose?
All is
How you
good.
doing?
To hear you.
I got 2 questions for you, Gary. I remember maybe a couple weeks ago, you admitted that you was honest enough to admit that if the Earth was a sphere, things would disappear bottom up. So when we see things disappearing bottom up, do you agree that that would be some evidence, not proof, but it would be evidence of the globe Earth?
I will admit that. If you will admit that you can watch the boats disappear bottom first, like you've seen in many of my videos, without any curve involved. Can you admit that that's possible, that things can become unresolvable bottom first without a curve?
Well, I haven't seen your video, so I haven't seen your video, so I don't know. But okay, now here's my second question. I'm glad you were honest enough to admit
Well,
that.
no, then watch my video, and next time I'm going to ask you, and I expect an answer.
Okay, but I want you to hear this. I want you to answer this question. And I'm glad you were honest enough to admit that, bottom-up obstruction is evidence for a globe. It's not proof, but it is evidence.
Except for I gave evidence that it wasn't bottom first obstruction because of any Earth being in the way. It was simple. Okay. It's just simple optics.
Okay, well, yeah.
Go ahead. Go to the second question.
Okay. The second question is, when we see things disappear bottom up, according to you, that is evidence for a globe. Why do you reject that evidence?
Oops, sorry, hit the button accidentally. Because I've shown all the kinds of proof where it becomes unresolvable bottom first without any curvature. I can literally make videos every day if I want to do the same thing. They've shown them here on Jose's show. You guys can see it happening in real time, and I use clips from Glober videos to prove it, including B-Ball. We got a nice one with a boat in his. You can literally watch it disappear bottom first. But you couldn't see the boat before you zoomed in.
Okay, that's great. So for future references, I want everybody in here to know that Gary is actually being honest, because he said and he admitted and he agreed that bottom-up obstruction is evidence for a globe. Thank you, Gary.
No, I didn't say it was evidence for a globe. I just said it's something you
said
can look at.
Said it,
It's not
Gary.
evidence. It's not evidence. Evidence is actual. It's not evidence. It's just
Gary,
something
Gary,
that you can look at and that you can think it's that. Doesn't mean it is that.
Gary,
Evidence is actual stuff.
Yeah, I didn't say
I
proof.
actually showed boats becoming unresolvable bottom first
Gary, I didn't
without
say
any curvature, just by backing off the zoom.
I didn't say proof, but you just admitted 2 seconds ago, well, 2 minutes ago, you just admitted that bottom-up obstruction is evidence for a globe.
No. I said if it was curved, that you would see something like that. That's not evidence. That's not evidence that would be admissible in court.
Okay, so we're not in court. So you're taking it back.
Okay, well, no, we kind of are.
So
everybody's making judgments on what we say. Sure, we
Gary,
are. Everybody makes judgments based on what we say.
Are you taking back what you just said 2 minutes ago?
No, I said if the Earth was curved, it would look like bottom first. But the problem is, I've shown that the actual evidence is it's simply becoming unresolvable bottom first without any curve whatsoever. I've showed it in many videos.
So we have evidence.
I actually have evidence that you can actually demonstrate and see.
Can I get a point? I'm going to explain, Mr. Kalik, really quick. This is Gary's videos present. You zoom out, you just with a camera, not any zooming use, and as you start zooming in, you start seeing the objects in the distance, and you see. So Gary is utilizing this middle point while from where you don't see anything until you see the whole boat. And then there's a point in there where the lens, start, you get all kinds of artifacts and stuff where it started to get it resolved with the zoom in as you zoom in. But that being said, Gary always go to that. As you zoom in, you get this. You don't see it, then you see it. But Gary, and you have to accept this, you never address the point when we show you already zoom in magnified image when the boat is missing the whole bottom half. You still want to go back. You say like, yeah, but look at my video. When I zoom in, you don't see it. Now you see it. That's your argument. You want to talk about this middle point, what is going on as you zoom in, and you want to disregard what is already zoomed in, and we can see in full details. Boom.
I've answered it many times. I've never disregarded it. They're just simply further into that narrow angle, and it's out of the range of the optical device being used and the angle over the surface that you're at. Simple. It's just everyday, ordinary perspective. That's why when you see that one of those ships that looks like it's half gone, and then you got another ship that looks like it's fully there right on the horizon, they look like they're like practically next to each other, right? Yeah, I mean, you've seen all the videos showing that stuff, but in reality, that other ship is way back, way farther. It's just zoomed in compression. And what would happen is if you actually went up in elevation, the ship in the background would no longer be lower than the ship in the foreground. It would end up higher in the frame than the ship in the foreground. It's simple perspective. That's a parallax because the one closer changes at a quicker rate than the one farther away. So the one actually would jump up slightly while the one in the front would drop down quickly.
I got to go AFK for like 5 minutes. And I see Hannah putting you in the spot. Hannah is the moderator in here. So if anybody go crazy and just go crazy, Hannah, you got full permission to mute anywhere who disturbs you. But I don't think it's necessary, but you got the power now. I'll be back in 5.
Fear my power.
I'm going back to bed. Screw this. I can't live under this kind of dictatorial tyranny.
Hey, no name.
Look out.
Hey, I'm pretty sure everybody on this panel just heard Mr. Gary White-Binga admit and agree that bottom-up obstruction is evidence for a globe. He just admitted that.
I heard him.
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did.
I heard him say it, and I heard him.
I heard him walking back.
No, what I said was if the Earth was curved, you would see bottom first obstruction. We don't see bottom first obstruction by Earth curve. We see it simply become past the level of the optical device we're using and the angle over the surface we're at.
You're using revisionist history. He's talking about when he first asked you the question. You said yes. And then as he went on into his second question,
No, you misunderstood again, because what he asked was if the Earth was curved, would it block things bottom first? And I said yes. If the Earth was curved, it would block it bottom first.
You're gaslighting, okay? If everyone else in the room independently agrees on what we all heard you say, and then you try to walk it back, that's you gaslighting, okay?
No, I didn't walk anything back. He simply strawmanned what I actually said and made it sound like I said something completely different. Yeah, it's not evidence. It's just what I said was he asked me the question. He asked me the question is if the Earth was curved, would things become obstructed bottom first? And I said yes. Right? You agree with that, right? That's what I said.
Yes, and then when you
but I didn't say bottom first. I didn't say bottom first disappearance is because of curvature. You're getting that part wrong. You're straw manning what I said.
No, Gary, you're straw manning right now.
No, I'm not. I said exactly what I answered his question exactly the way I'm answering it now.
No, Gary, you answered it once. I asked you specifically, was bottom up extraction evidence for a globe, and you said yes.
No, that's not what you said. You said if the Earth was a ball, would things become obstructed bottom first? And I said yes. You changed it into that other thing. Go back and go find me the clip where I said that. Find me the clip.
Well, therefore, it has to be a ball because that's what happens.
No. That's not what I said at all. No.
You don't have to say it, but that's what happens.
Well, I've shown otherwise. I mean, I can do this every day of the week. I've gotten 3 or 4, 5, maybe 6 videos showing the very same thing. I use clips from Globers to show it. Their own videos demonstrate exactly what I'm saying.
You actually said if you go up higher in altitude, you will see further. You said that. Yes?
Yes.
Why? Why is that?
Because you have a wider angle to the surface. You can see detail much further.
It's because it's because it's a globe.
No, are you going to tell me and everybody else here that you won't see further by going up higher on a flat surface? You won't see further detail from much further at the surface by going higher. You going to tell everybody here that?
But I can't say that because I don't live on a flat surface.
If we lived on a flat surface, would you see more detail on the surface for further? It's a simple question.
If you go higher, more detail.
Yes, because you have a wider angle, right? Just like if you're on the road, you have the yellow dividing line. It's separated lines, right? You can see so many individual lines for a certain amount of time, a space up ahead of you. But then they start to blend in. Because your angle to the surface becomes too narrow, and they look like the lines are closer to each other and smaller, and pretty soon they look like they're blended in one. And a little further, that's right. It's all perspective. Yeah, you're catching up.
When you go up higher, you don't
You'll
see more detail.
yellow lines for much further.
You see less detail the higher up you go up because things get smaller as you go higher up.
Maybe if you go up 20,000 feet, you might not see the line on the road because your angle to the surface is too narrow again. But the immediate change when you first start going up, you're going to see the lines on the road much further. That's more detail on the surface. Now, theoretically, you have an angle. If you've seen my phone lowered to the ground on the road at the center line, you have an angle technically to lines way up the road. But you can't see them because there's not enough angle. You can't resolve them. There's not enough pixel space for it.
Not enough angle.
You're doing the flirt shuffle right now. That's what you're doing.
No, it's just simple. It's simple, everyday, ordinary, normal perspective.
Okay,
see it every day, literally.
As you claim it's perspective, do parallel lines intersect?
No.
So how in the hell would perspective cause things to disappear bottom up?
Because your angle becomes too narrow, just like the railroad tracks. When you look at hold on, when you have an angle to the rails, if you're standing in between the rails, you got a rail on the right, rail on the left. You look down the line and it seems to merge, right? It looks like it's merging, but it's not merging because it's parallel lines, right? But
look
that
like
space at the horizon where they will meet, which isn't that funny that they just meet where those two rails look like they meet, is the same place where the rail looks to stop climbing up towards eye level.
Appear to me.
Appear to, yes, it's a pier. It's an optical effect. It's nothing to do with them converging. They don't. But that little space between the rails will no longer, you will no longer be able to see anything between those rails at that point.
Let's hear Master.
But Gary, the question is, do they ever cross? Because the perspective that you're using, which we have the flirt perspective, they would have to cross for things to disappear bottom up. They would have to cross.
Why would they have to cross? That's just silly.
For things to disappear bottom up, they would have to cross.
No, you're just, the space between the rails will get too small to resolve anything between them. And it's the same thing, because if you notice the railroad line, where that point happens is always where the horizon hits, right?
Would never cause things to disappear bottom up, Gary.
Yes, it will, because you can't resolve them. It's just like waves in the distance when you're on the seashore, right?
But
you're looking at the waves close, they're big.
Perspective dictates that things appear to get smaller with angular size, and then they will just be so small that it will appear in the distance. But that's uniformly. There's no rule that is going to tell you that things disappear from the bottom up using perspective, unless it's a globe, unless it's curvature.
It isn't uniformly. The angles are not the same.
It is uniformly.
They don't.
It is.
No, they don't. No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
And,
What angle?
Okay,
what
now,
angle
like I
asked you?
said, it just whenever the far distance hits that past that Rayleigh criterion line, then you no longer can resolve anything in between them, right? When the space, it's like because you not only have the size of the object, you have the space between objects that also that has a size. So if you have the railroad lines, if you look off in the distance, you can't see the space between them anymore because it's too small to resolve.
You can't use Rayleigh criterion.
Yes, you can.
Because you can't use Rayleigh criterion for something sinking, because if that were true, you would be able to zoom something back in after it sunk, and you can't.
Yeah, true.
No, you can't zoom anything if it's past the angle that's available for the optical device you're using.
What angle? I need a diagram. I need
I
you to
don't know
circle
what
and
angle, but
point
you know
what
that
angle.
You know that the angle gets narrower, right? Because I pointed this out to you before.
What angle get narrower? What
okay,
angle?
listen. I said I don't know, but here I'm going to explain why you can tell where the angle becomes too narrow.
What angle are you talking about?
Okay, you know, you draw, you know perspective, you know that the vanishing zone is a thing that you imitate, right? In your art, right? You imitate it. Because it's something. It is something, right? It's just the point in the distance where the angle over the surface becomes too narrow to resolve any more detail at that point. It looks like a line across your field of view. And that's like when you're on the seashore, the waves. Hold on, let me finish this slide because I started saying it earlier, but I let Jose, when he interrupted me, I let him continue. So you stand on the seashore, you have the waves close to you, they're big. The waves appear smaller and smaller and smaller with the distance, right? There's also spaces and gaps between the waves. Now with distance, those gaps look smaller and smaller and smaller. You also have an angle over the waves, right? And so in the distance, that angle has a narrower angle over the waves. Yes, the angle over the waves.
What angle?
He just said
it's the angle from your eye to the surface.
Wait.
It's your visual angle.
Jose.
So when you get in the distance, okay, you guys both interrupted me. I never finished it yet.
No, you never finished. Come on.
Okay, I was almost done. I was almost done.
Let him finish.
So you also have an angle over the. You also have an angle over the surface. So if you have multiple waves, you're right. The waves in the distance look small. The gaps between them become small. The angle over the waves to see waves as separate in the background from the foreground also becomes too small, and you simply will see a line across your field of view. That's what happens. That's an optical limit.
You're just saying angles. It will be disappearing uniformly. I gotta imagine this triangle, right? Dude, now you don't want to let me give the example. This is what every time you say angle, there's one angle that I can think of, and the point that the point of this triangle come out of your eye. That's one point. Another point is going to be in top of the object. Another point is going to be in the bottom of the object. That's the angle. It will not change in a flat surface, no matter how further away you push it. Yeah, this angle appears to close and close and gets closer and closer. The point on your eye stay the same. There's a point in the top, there's a point in the bottom of the object you're looking at. They're gonna appear to fuse and they're gonna appear to just come together in a point uniformly, for fuck's sake. What in the fuck is this bottom up that you intend to say with just the word angle? Like it means something.
And
Well,
also,
it's just like when you backed off the zoom in the videos that I said that you saw the bottom become unresolvable before the tops.
We're not talking about when you zoom in. We're talking about when we already see the full image.
When you zoom in, you increased your you already saw them, but you couldn't see them before you zoomed in. They were too small to resolve, right? So the angle was too limited for your natural eyes to resolve.
So when we zoom in, why can't we bring it all back?
You can if it's close enough.
I said zoom in, Gary.
We saw it in the videos. We saw it in the videos.
Gary, look, I posted an image.
It depends on how high you are over the surface.
6 feet.
And how far the boat is.
Okay,
if you're 6 foot tall, it's probably about 3 miles before you start seeing the bottom becoming unresolvable first.
Let me finish. If the boat is 10 feet tall,
Gary, have you ever tried to?
Okay, never mind.
Have you ever tried to view the International Space Station on the transit?
Yes,
What does that have to do with?
No, not on transit, but I've seen it fly over. Yes.
Okay.
I've seen SpaceX.
What is that thing?
I don't know. Something flying. I've never said it wasn't.
It's not. Is it a satellite?
I don't. The ISS?
Yes.
I don't know what it is. I just know it's something flying. There is something there. It's flying.
All right.
I've never said otherwise.
Oh,
we
okay.
can fly high.
Oh, okay, Gary. Well, actually, it's not flying. It's orbiting.
Okay, but when you say that, I'm saying it's flying. You say it's orbiting. I say it's flying.
Yes, it's orbiting. It has no.
Okay, it's flying.
It has no mechanism to fly, Gary.
You don't know that. They do have mechanisms to steer. You don't know that. You only know a minimum of whatever they tell you. You don't know what's going on up there. Trust me.
That's why I actually have tried to look at it during a lunar transit, because you can tell that it is not aerodynamic, Gary. It can't fly. It's in orbit, and you can
Doesn't have to be aerodynamic. If it's 240 miles high and there's hardly little to no atmosphere, you don't have to be aerodynamic anymore. You don't have anything to.
There's no air up
that
there.
you're rubbing against.
Exactly, Gary. So since there's nothing that you're rubbing against, there's no friction up there to stop it. That means it's not flying, because it cannot fly in no air. So it is in orbit.
Exactly.
So once you know that this thing is in orbit, what is it orbiting? So once you know that it's in orbit, then
it's flying in circles around the flat Earth.
Since you know
elliptical circles.
Gary,
They're elliptical circles. That they're not perfect circles. They're elliptical.
It cannot do that, Gary.
Yeah, it can.
Well, that's exactly what we see, isn't it?
Gary, I posted
How does it fly without air?
I don't care
come
what you
on.
posted, Jackie.
We're getting a little bit. We are a little bit.
Gary.
A little bit all over the place. Everybody is trying to just kind of just clip the last part of everybody's statement. Let's try to just hold back just an extra second. Relax, everybody. I'm gonna stay here for a little longer, so just take your time. Don't go crazy interrupting each other, man.
Yeah, but why did you get in the ISS?
And I was interrupted. So if I'm 6
But you gave up. But you gave up.
There's only one
Fine.
fourth in all you guys, so one.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, but you gave up. You say
I didn't give up. People cut me out, so I quit.
Yes, because
you quit.
No,
because
you're complaining.
Because the International Space Station is a flat Earth killer.
Because it's a strawman.
They would love to avoid the International Space Station.
Right, they would.
It's a
Let
flat
Merle,
killer.
guys, let Merle chime
I've
in.
never avoided it. When people ask me, I've always said there's something flying up there. I've seen SpaceX fly right over my house. I don't deny there's things flying around.
It's not in air, Gary. There's no air up there for it to fly through. It's in orbit.
Well, you don't know anything that they have. They don't tell you things. You think they tell you things? No.
They don't have
They
to
have
tell
things.
Gary.
They can have, for all you know, they have electromagnetic propulsion. And they can skim over their electrical propulsion wave. You don't know. They have all these. They have all kinds of experiments they do. including electromagnetic propulsion. They've done it on the ISS.
Well,
That was one of their experiments.
Hold on, Chaik, and Master, please. Let me give a chance to Leo because whatever I was able to hear at the beginning was like, if you're standing 6 foot or something, let's go back to the topic that we were in, kind of the disappearing from the bottom up. We were in a flow going, we were trying to get somewhere in there. And I think Leo's got to follow up and make a point. Let's give him a chance and let him talk to Gary for a few.
So, Gary, I'm a 6 foot observer staying on the beach. My complete altitude is 7 feet. The deck of the boat is 10 feet high. How far?
He's talking to you, Leo.
I am talking. Why are you talking over me? Gary, can you hear me?
I hear you. Yeah, I'm waiting for the guy to quit interrupting you.
So the deck of the boat is 10 feet high. So it's 4 foot above my eye level. How far does it have to travel on the flat Earth before that angle is too small for my eyes to see?
Yeah, I don't give distances and measurements. I'm just
Why?
saying the angle. Okay, you gonna let me answer, or are you gonna interrupt me now? You just yelled at everybody else. Okay, you just have a visual angle that you have in your field of view. You have a vanishing zone. How far that vanishing zone depends on how high you are above the surface, how the depth and distance that it would be. When things at the bottom are touching the surface, not the top, right? The top of the boat doesn't touch the surface before the bottom touches the surface, correct? The bottom is in the water unless you're upside down and sinking, right?
Sorry, the boat never touches the surface. The boat, which is in the water, the surface of the deck never touches the surface of the water unless it's sinking.
I understand that, but you just misunderstood what I said. I said the bottom of the boat is what touches the surface, right?
The surface of what?
Of the water.
Yeah, the bottom of the boat touches the surface of the water. The deck, unless it's sinking, will never touch the surface of the water.
That's right, and I'm going to tell you now why it'll disappear if you just let me. Okay, so now we established that the bottom of the boat is what touches the surface of the water, not the top of the boat. So it's the top of the boat's higher than the bottom of the boat in relation to the surface.
Well,
right?
You're not actually answering.
Okay, I'm not finished. You're interrupting my answer.
You're changing what I'm asking.
You're I'm getting there. It takes a minute. I can't just blurt out a 10 words and then have all you guys straw man everything I said.
No, answer the question now.
I was answering the question. If you're not going to let me finish, then I won't answer your question.
Have to get before you can't see it anymore. That is the question.
Go on to the next person. He interrupted me every time I tried to answer. I'm not going to talk to him.
Okay,
I'll talk. Everybody else is being actually pretty mellow, but if he's yelling at the other guys for interrupting him, and then he won't let me finish my answer.
Well,
it's not a one sentence answer.
You're changing.
You got to answer it in context.
You are changing my question.
Leo of yelling at someone. I think he's physically incapable of yelling.
Because Leo is very focused. Leo is very focused on what he wants.
My question is
but it takes an explanation, and that's why I established something first to set up my answer.
My point.
He doesn't want to hear it, so if he doesn't want to let me answer in full, then he's a waste of time.
You are
just keep interrupting me.
My point is the deck of the boat is 4 foot above the eye level of the observer. What angle does that have to be at before it reaches so far that the angle is too far for the person to see the deck of the boat? What angle is it?
You lost your opportunity when you kept interrupting my answer. I'm not going to go on again.
You changed my question.
I've told the same thing. I've explained this many times. This is very easy, but you're going to interrupt, and so you're interrupting me now again. Okay, so I'm not talking to Lel. Somebody else can go on, or I can just leave.
Why do you have to change the question I'm asking?
I didn't change it. I had to establish at the bottom of the
question. Piss off.
I have established exactly what I want. The deck of the boat is 4 feet above the eye level of the observer. What angle does that deck have to be at before the observer can no longer see it? Pretty simple question, Gary.
I already told you I'm done with you. You can if you can just keep asking the same thing. I was answering, but you kept interrupting.
You
I'm
were
done with you.
changing my
Y'all
question.
get the fucking
No,
top
I'm
half
done
of
with
those
you.
higher than the
You
top half.
interrupted. You would
Hold on,
never
no
let
name.
me. I had to establish because there's not one word answers.
We're
All right.
not talking about
We
the
all
top
know
half of
that
the
the
Hold
top
on,
bottom
no
of the boat.
name.
are above the bottom
Hold
of
on,
things,
no
Gary.
name. Hold on, no name. I want to give them Leo the opportunity to make his point, make his statement. Take 1 minute, take 2 minutes. Nobody, no, Gary is not going to interrupt you, or no name, or Shaik, or myself. Nobody will interrupt you. Leo, take your time. Just give us either a punchline, an explanation, and anything that you want. But I think it's over. Gary doesn't want to engage with you. We're going to keep spinning around for hours. So instead of spending hours in this back and forward, you asking Gary questions, Gary refusing to answer you, I'm going to give you a minute or two so you can state your points, and then we can move on. Go ahead, Leo. I mute myself.
I am going to make it very clear here. Gary is changing what I'm asking. I'm not talking about the bottom and top of the boat. I'm specifically saying the deck of the boat is 4 foot above the observer's eye level. What angle does it have to be before it drops below the eye level of the observer? That is what I'm asking. That's a pure, simple question.
If you want to finish your point, if you want to answer it yourself, or if you want to
That is
just...
the point.
But if you want to just stop, then, because we're going to move on. Other people is going to start talking. I'm going to give you a chance, second chance, so you can finish your point and say, you see, he cannot answer it because of this or that. This is the reason, and this is the conclusion, and I'm commit to it. Go ahead, Leo, finish your point so we can move on.
My point is Gary keeps on bringing up some angle, but he won't answer my question about what is that angle of my specific question.
Okay. Can we
What
go
if
to
he
my
chose the
question?
choice? I don't know. I don't know is always a choice, by the way.
Yeah. Can we move to my question then?
Except for I didn't say I don't know. I was answering, but he kept interrupting my answer because he didn't like it.
Okay.
Well, you do know the angle? It's just a secret?
No, answers.
You were
I
changing
don't.
my
I
question.
said
You
right
never
from the
said
beginning,
top
I
of the boat or
don't
the
know
bottom of
the
the boat.
angle, distance. I said I don't know the distance, right off the
Yeah,
bat.
I didn't say the
But I
distance.
have
I
to
said
explain why it would do it. Now you're interrupting me again. See, this goes both ways. That's what I
You
said
are
earlier.
changing my
Remember,
question. I
Jose?
never
It
said
goes
anything
both
about
ways.
the distance. I said
Because you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
the answer
argument
requires time. If you interrupt the train of thought, then the answer never gets completed, and then I get guys like Chaiki straw manning me or that other
Me never
evil brain.
strawman you.
Yeah, well, the
I
other
was
guy.
defending you when you were
Yeah,
strawman.
okay, yeah, the other guy. I
Shaik
sorry,
under the
but yeah,
bus. Shaik under the
no,
bus.
I shouldn't have said that. It was the other guy. It was the other guy. Whoever was talking.
All I said was that I don't know is a viable answer.
Okay, can we move to
I didn't
my
say.
question?
I didn't say that. Why would I say that? I know what the answer is, but he wouldn't let
Gary.
me complete my whole
Gary.
thought. So I wasn't
don't
going to
care
sit there
about
and
a
keep
distance.
getting
I said what
interrupted.
angle.
Gary, I have a
And I told you I don't
non-strawman
know what
question.
the angle is, but I was going to describe why it will do it. You just didn't want to hear it.
I
Gary,
just want the
have a
angle. I
non.
don't care about the ifs, ands, buts, or whys. I want
I
the
thought
angle.
you. I thought
I
you.
can't. I
included
told you
your-
I can't give you the angle.
Yeah,
I have to describe the process.
Yeah, there you go. He answered you
I'm
quickly,
not a
Leo.
mathematician.
Yeah,
I
he
don't
answered.
do. I don't do that.
Yeah, he answered you the first time. He said, "I don't know, but I'm gonna explain to you what's going on," and that's it. He answered your question. He don't know, so if all you want to hear is a number, Leo, he's not gonna give it to you. He doesn't know. That's it. Move on. Shaik, you got a question because we're gonna try to keep kind of getting questions and answers. If Gary want to answer it the way he want to answer it, give him a chance. If he's not answering directly your question, let's give him a chance to give it a try, and then when he's done, he gives his answer. You will tell us if he answered your question or not. We'll try to keep going around the room. Really.
Yeah, just let's keep it the answers short. Yes, I have an image here, Gary. Here I posted it again, and you see we have 2 coins. I carefully leveled my camera with the surface of the table. That means there is no angle there. There is 0 angle. Yet you see at the far coin, you can see the reflection from the rim. The coin has a rim around it, and it has a reflection. That means nothing of it is obstructed. Nothing of it disappear. Yet all my angle is 0. Why isn't the coin disappearing bottom up? What angles are we talking about?
Do you expect a coin on a little table to disappear bottom up? All those experiments are
It's
bullshit.
listen. That's Riley criteria is out of the door because we
You
can't
can't
see the
measure.
printing.
You can't.
Gary, pay attention. We can't resolve the number on the other coins. That means it's beyond our Riley criteria. Maybe it's not focused. I don't know, but we can't resolve anything there. Yet we can see the bottom of the coin.
Look at the
On
coin
the
on the left. You
ships,
see that? You see that?
on the Zoom ships,
Okay.
on the other instance, we can read the printing on the containers. Yet half the ship is missing. So what angles are we talking about exactly here?
Okay. Look at your bottom of your coin on the left coin. Can you see that little silver rim that you see around the rest of the coin? See how
I think
it's
so.
got that?
I think
Looks
so.
like it has a little rim around it, but you can't see the bottom of it on that one. It's not.
Yeah,
It's
because
come
the
to a
light.
point.
Because
But
the light.
it's a bad example because on a little
No.
table you're not going to see it happen. It's too close of a distance for whatever camera you have.
No,
Your
because the
camera
light.
even with the cell phone camera at a little
Gary,
distance like that, you're not going to see a major effect.
Gary,
You're going to
the
literally
light
see the
is
coin spin.
behind the coin. That's why you don't see the front one because the light is behind it. However, it's in
No,
front
you
of
have
the far.
you have a
You tell
silver
me, I
edge
know
on
what
the
the paper
coin, but
is
you can't see that silver edge on the bottom there.
because there's no reflection because the light is behind it.
Even if you were higher up, you would still not see it because the coin is on the table, Gary.
The thing I'm confused about is flat earthers use this example all the time. But now when Chike uses
You've never seen me use it. You've never seen me use it. It's too
I don't
close
care
of a
whether you
distance to
have
do
or not.
anything. No, well, I don't. I said a minute ago, if you would have been listening, I said this is a lousy experiment on both sides. I said that. It's too close.
No. Listen, I made sure.
And if you get
that I
enough distance,
leveled
then you guys will just say it's because the cable was bent.
Listen, the white line that you see is a paper I put there to make sure I'm not above and not below.
No, I'm not talking about the white.
I'm
I'm not
with
talking
the
about the white
surface.
line.
I'm with the surface. I'm
not talking about the
totally
white line.
zero angle to the surface.
I'm not talking about the white line. I'm talking about the coin on the left. It looks like you can literally go trace the whole circle of that coin, and you can see it's shinier on the edge compared to the rest of the coin.
Kind of like a
Now,
white
that
line.
little shiny edge of the coin you can't see on where it's touching the table, but that's
Well, you can
still not evidence of anything. I mean, I can see the difference. How are you going to measure that anyhow? The angle
What do you
on a
mean
small
measure?
coin
I'm
close by
asking.
is.
I'm asking why
Okay,
can I
I
see
already
the
said
bottom?
this. I already said this experiment doesn't relate to what we see with boats going out in the distance where things are farther away. You start to
I'm
get all
trying
the
to
other
understand.
effects.
I'm trying to understand on what angles you have. So the angle to the surface here is zero. There's no angle to the surface.
No, it's not. I can
It's
see a little bit of the
absolutely
surface.
zero.
I can
So
see a little
the
bit of
e-
the surface. I can see a reflection of that
No,
little
you
coin on
don't.
the
You see
surface.
the edge of the paper.
Well, then you're under.
I'm not under. I'm at the center of the paper.
How you can measure the center of the paper? Okay, this is I'm not even going to waste my time on this because
you
you can't.
can't
You're
see
not going
the
to prove
paper
anything
from
by your
above.
coin.
You can see
Just
it
like
from
all flat
below.
earthers who use this shouldn't use it. I don't use it.
Gary.
I've never used anything like this. It's pointless to argue this point.
I put the paper there for this
Okay,
purpose
Chikey.
to make sure I'm not
Chikey,
above it and not below
Chikey,
it.
I
I'm
already said that
dead
an experiment with a coin
on
on
its
a
side,
table
on
isn't
the
going to
corner of
prove
the paper.
anything. You're not going to be able to measure any difference whatsoever. You can't measure
Why?
that small.
Why? I'm asking.
Because you can't
the
measure
angle
that
here,
small.
the
Even if
angle
there
to the
is a change,
surface.
you're never going to see it. It's too
Gary,
close. You're too close.
Gary, you always talk about
Okay.
angles. So I'm
I'm
trying
ready for the
to
next
figure
guy.
out.
I'm gonna mute
I'm
until
trying
you
to
get the
figure.
next guy on.
So
No,
again,
Jackie, it's a waste of time.
No,
It's a
Flake.
waste of time.
All right,
No, no, Flake.
where
It's
is
just
the end?
some things are a waste of time.
Where is the end, Chike? You wanna get to
Well,
the
no,
to the
we
punchline?
concluded.
Yeah, you wanna get to
We
the punchline?
concluded Gary's a snowflake. Can move on.
Hold on. I'm curious over here. Of DR Curious. Do you want to say something? I don't think I ever heard you talk over here on Discord. Maybe today's the day. You've been probably busy. It's out of your time zone and stuff. So if you want to jump in, say hello or something. Or Komar. And then Doofus is in the house. Doofus, and Hugh Janus also here. Doofus, you got a specific maybe point or question for Gary? We're trying to do this kind of little improv quickly one-on-ones, you know.
Well, I just wanted to make the point real quick that with the example Chaiki brought up, that if we're talking about any amount of limited angles, the angle has to be, if it's a limit of an angle, the angle has to be some value. It can't just be some nebulous thing that increases as distance increases. Then it's not a limited angle. Doesn't make any sense.
Of course not to you, but that's okay. You would never acknowledge it one way or the other, so.
Thanks for not bringing a valid argument.
No, I have a valid argument, but you won't acknowledge it whatsoever anyhow, so doesn't matter.
The value of that angle that you say is limited changes as distance increases, which doesn't make any sense to say that it is a limited. It doesn't make any sense to say it doesn't make any sense to say that it's a limited angle if the angle value has to change as the distance increases.
Hey, Jose, go on from him. I'm not going to have him yelling at me. He started to yell again. That's why I wouldn't talk to him before. I'm going to be
Why
a
did I start to yell,
snowflake.
Gary?
No,
Because you didn't like
interrupted
me
him,
interrupting you when you were interrupting me all at the same time. Okay, on to the next one.
Okay, but I
Doofus is
wasn't
a doofus.
interrupting, but thank you.
No, but you were losing your temper and getting loud, and I'm trying to be quiet and remain calm. I think everybody
I'm
else on
only
here is,
doing
for the
that
most
when you
part.
start interrupting me, Gary.
No, because that's what you are. You probably do that to your wife.
One at a time. No need to flake the insult.
Okay, let's start bringing in the wife. Let's do that.
Yeah, that was a little unnecessary. I mean, that was unnecessary. So let's try to just sweep that out of the way. Let's give it a second chance. Now, Doofus was trying to make a full point, and I don't know if it's you that interrupted him. You started to answer. Maybe Doofus wasn't finished with his point, and he continued to raise his voice so he can finish his point. I don't know what was it. Let's try again one more time. So one person finish, and then the other person.
Okay, can I answer without interruption on him?
I don't even remember what question Doofus asked, but
Well,
if you want to answer, if you heard it,
think
I guess
angle,
you know.
He doesn't think
Try to
angles
troll
surfaces
responsibly.
matter. If you can't give him a precise number, he thinks it doesn't matter. Well, you do. It does matter. The fact that angles do matter and how narrow they are to the surface. That's why if you get your head right on the ground, you can't see too far along the surface. If you get up 20 feet, you can see a long ways over the surface. A 45-degree angle from you standing there to the ground is right in front of you, right? But if you go 10 feet high, a 45-degree angle is much further ahead of you, right? You see more distance at that 45-degree angle. Things matter. Angles matter over surfaces. It's angles to surfaces, and they're everywhere.
I give you zero. Zero. I give
Hold on.
you.
Oh, hold on. So Gary said something there that was very interesting. He said that I said that the angles don't matter. What I actually said was, if the angle does matter, then it should be some value that doesn't change mysteriously as the distance increases.
Well, actually, it would change because with increased distance, you have other things coming in, other factors like atmosphere and stuff like that interfere with how you resolve things with distance. Colors fade, right? We know colors fade with distance, right? They put it in artwork. You start to fade things around center frame because they're far in the distance. So you fade out the colors somewhat. Same thing. You get other factors with distance.
Seems a red laser is still red, no matter how far away it is.
Yeah, but when it's right close by you, it'll blind you. When it's 10 miles away, it won't. It's not the same brightness, just like a headlight of a car. 10 miles away. If it's five miles away, it's real dim, almost hard to see. If it's right in front of you, yeah, it's very bright.
Is this image
same thing?
Did you share this image, Doofus? The one. I mean, I got it on YouTube. With it says lemon and data on the plane, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
an illustration.
I reshared
Yeah,
it
that's
on
an
Discord.
illustration. Ah, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's just an illustration of if it's some sort of angular resolution issue, which is commonly argued in these sort of circles. If it's an angular resolution issue, it's worth noting that everything that you can still see on that distant object is far smaller than the amount that is obscured. So it can't really just be an angular resolution issue either.
It still is. It's just that angular resolution becomes compromised when the angles to surfaces become narrow. It's seen in less space. You know what? I was almost going to do a video today, but I got too busy. They set up a bunch of solar panels at one of the dairies I go to, right? And if you get just an angle to them, you can't tell how many there are. You can't even see that any separation with the ones towards far end, because your angle to that surface is too narrow in the distance, right? It's foreshortening.
You're talking about the surface again, but we're not talking about the surface. The ship is perpendicular.
It can go vertical to
ship
you. You have a surface.
Is perpendicular to the surface.
You can have things going up and down, and you have a surface.
It doesn't
if you have a
suffer
10-foot
foreshortening.
or 10-story building, your angle to the top will be more foreshortened than your angle to the bottom, right?
If I'm very close.
No, if you're very close, even if you're far away, it's still your angle. Your foreshortening is always going to take effect where the angle to the surface
So
is
why
narrowest,
does the
which
bottom?
is the farthest point away from your line of sight.
Agreed. So again, why does the top don't disappear? Because it's foreshortened relative to the bottom angles.
It does.
The top disappear first.
Yeah, no, because
the
you
top
have
is
two things
foreshortened,
in your
like
field.
you
You
said
have
now.
two
I
things.
agree.
Okay, you gonna let me answer, or are you just gonna keep rambling and laughing? Okay, you have two things. You have your field of view. That's one thing that's set by your distance above the surface, right? Your elevation. That's one thing. It sets your field of view. The depth of the distance at your center frame, if you're higher up, it's going to be further out, right? If you're low to the ground, it's closer, right? So that has a limit. That has a limiting factor in how you see things. Then obstacles in your field of view also have angles from them, from all their various surfaces subtended to your eyes. That changes how they look by the way they move in your field of view. So when they move further, they're not only contending with the field of view, the vanishing zone angle, they're also contending with the angle that's subtended to your eye from their surfaces. So you have two things going on, and things that move further go towards that center frame. When they move away from you, they go towards that center frame, and they simply become unresolvable bottom first. We've seen it in many of my videos. You can make videos like this over and over again. You back off the zoom and you can see it happening. It's simple. It's just optics.
Well, I saw is that obstruct things in your videos, Gary. Listen, you said the top is foreshortened. No matter what, it will always be foreshortened relative to the bottom. Why does the bottom disappear?
The part that's higher than you is.
Right.
Just like the part, let's say if you're the bottom foreshortens too. Anything that's below your eye level foreshortens. Anything that's above your eye level foreshortens.
So what's foreshortened?
Once it's away from your eye level, it foreshortens the angle to the surface.
Foreshortened? What's
foreshortened is when your angle to the surface isn't 90 degrees to the perpendicular of the object that's sticking up, right?
So it always 90 degrees to some point.
No, if you have a building to you, the only time you have a 90-degree angle is looking at your eye line level straight into the building.
But
that's the 90 degree. Everything else from that foreshortens to the bottom and to the top.
You agree that the bottom is less foreshortened than the top
because you're closer to the bottom in general.
Yeah, right. So why does the bottom disappear first and not the top?
Because it's also contending with that vanishing zone. You got two angles that it has to contend with. It's two visual angles. It's the angle to the ship subtended, the surface of the ship subtended to your eyes, and your vanishing zone, which is a part of your perspective that you guys just like to avoid and pretend it doesn't exist.
I don't get what you're talking about. What's the vanishing?
Well, when that ship goes away, let's say you got your bottom angle from your eye level below, right? You got that angle. what's going to it's because the bottom of the ship is touching the surface. That part's going to compress into that vanishing zone to the point like the railroad tracks where you can no longer see between them. Same thing with that. With the bottom of the boat, it's just going to get squished to the point where you can't resolve it as separate from the surface. That's why if you also remember, I was talking about the waves.
What's the law?
They appear smaller with distance. The gaps between them are smaller. The angle
What's
over them
the
is
law?
narrower. Now, I wonder if you get let's say they were 5-foot waves, and now you get another 10-foot wave that's 5 miles further. Are you going to see that? No. Same with the bottom of
You
the ship. You
should.
won't
In a
see
flat
that.
surface, you should. Let me read
No,
one
you
comment over
shouldn't.
here.
No,
Let me
because
read this one comment.
the ship will keep.
Then you can.
Like,
Let me read this one comment. Then you can tell me how I can't. John Rapp for $2 Gary, for fuck's sake. A surface does not suck down verticals. Thank you, John Rapp. Appreciate that. If you got
yeah, it does.
Go ahead.
It does. That's why you see buildings look shorter when they go away, right? When you go away from, they appear shorter and shorter, closer to that vanishing zone, right? They compress into that vanishing zone. You guys think
No,
it's curvature. I say it's just
What
simple compression.
what's
it
a
is.
vanishing zone? I've heard of a vanishing point.
Okay, you know exactly. No, I call it a zone because a point would be right where things converge with your eye, your direct line of sight. So you got a whole
perspective is a
zone
thinking.
there. You got a whole zone where everything below your eye level converges up towards it. Everything
It's a
above your eye
vanishing
level
point.
converges down to it. That's your vanishing zone.
That you
The
invented
vanishing
that.
zone
It's
is
more of a
actually at the
vanishing
surface.
line. It's more of a vanishing line.
No,
I
vanishing
call it a
line. No,
zone.
that's
It's a
confusing.
zone.
That's not the
No,
vanishing point is a single point, not a line or a zone
Okay,
or a
I'm not talking about a
plane.
vanishing point. I can make up my own terms the way I want. I've described it many
Yeah,
times.
it's okay. Just
I said vanishing zone. I can say vanishing zone because that's what I'm
okay.
calling it.
Yeah.
And
Now,
you guys
Gary,
act like I can't just make up a term for what I'm trying to describe
let me
because I'm not a scientist.
give me 1 minute,
No.
Chike. Give me 1 minute, Chike. Gary mentioned, right? If I'm 6 foot looking out the beach, I'm 5 foot. Let's say 5 foot average. I'm looking out to the beach, and there's a 5 foot wave over there, really far away, and it's so small that I can barely see it, right? And then 5 miles further away from that, there's a 10-foot wave over there, and I can barely see it, but I should be able to either see it, barely see it, or not see it due to angular reduction uniformly in the distance due to perspective. And if so I'm lined up with this 5-foot wave. Let's say I can see this full 5-foot wave. Far in the distance, small, but I can see it full. Therefore, my eye line is roughly in the surface of this wave. If there's a 10-foot wave really far away in the back, and I can barely see it with my eye, if I zoom in with my camera, I should be able to see it. I should be able to see the top half of this wave behind this 5-foot wave in front of me. It doesn't matter how far it is. If it's a 5, if there's a wave lower than the one in the distance, if my eyesight is either level or higher than the object in front of me, the object far away in the distance is not going to be blocked more than it. So if I got a 5-foot wave, this 5-foot wave will never block a 100-foot building, 30-foot bottom of a boat, 2 stories of a building, because those are more than 5 foot. A 5-foot wave, if I'm above this wave, will never block more than the 5 foot. Ever. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about a wave blocking anything. A 10-foot wave that's 5 miles further than that vanishing zone, you're not going to see, if those are 5-foot waves at your vanishing zone, they still look like a smooth line. When you're just looking with your eyes, it's just a smooth line across your field of view, right? We can have 12-foot swells out here at Monterey Bay, and it looks like a smooth line. It looks like, oh, it's calm seas. I'm going to go on the whaleboat. And then you go on the whaleboat, and you're getting thrown and tossed all over the place when you actually get out there. A 10-foot wave that's another 5 miles past that, you're not going to see it because that 10-foot wave by that distance is compressed to the point where you can't resolve it as separate from the 5-foot waves that are close by at the vanishing zone. It's simply just you're just not going to be able to resolve it. It's that simple. You might take your zoom camera, fine, but then you're just going to have a limit on it doing the same thing, just a little further.
The problem with saying vanishing zone is not that you're inventing. It's not that you're inventing a terminology.
I tried. Alan, fucking A. Fuck. Let me read this comment before you go, and then you're going to have a few minutes with Gary.
Sorry.
I just want to read this comment, and then you have the floor. Doofus Manfred with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Doofus. I appreciate that. And I quote, I can make up my own terms if I want. I'm not a scientist. Gary Venga 2022. Thank you, Doofus, for the quote. I appreciate that. Oh, Alem, talk to Gary for the.
No, it's just really simple. If you're gonna, it's okay to make up terminologies and say, yeah, call something something, but it's not about making up the term, the word vanishing zone. It's making up the phenomena. That doesn't happen.
You guys there? Hello?
Yeah, for me, it's just the noise. Vanishing zone.
Everything went.
I don't know what you
All the
can make
voices.
your own turn, but
The
I
voices
don't
just went
understand
into the
what you're talking
vanishing
about.
zone. No, you have to use words to describe what you're describing.
Right, but I
entered a
sure,
zone
but I
of
don't know what you're talking
imagination.
about.
By the way, I didn't say I'm not a scientist. I just said you guys like to say because I'm not a scientist, I can't come up with a term, but you can. You just
It's not a term that you're inventing. You're inventing reality.
No, that's what I know. You think that, but I'm not. It's actual reality, and they incorporate the very idea in artwork. They try to imitate artwork with reality, right? They try to imitate reality. You create a
But in
vanishing
reality,
zone.
I have a zoom lens.
And if you have a zoom lens, that's fine. Then it's just going to be a little further out, but it's still going to be the same phenomena.
So
Just further
listen,
out because
Gary.
you've zoomed in, you've expanded the image, you magnified it. You couldn't see it with your eyes. You guys will admit boats can become unresolvable completely from without going past the horizon if you're at high enough up and the boat goes far enough out, right?
Listen,
If you're high enough up and the boat goes, it's gonna go way farther out and become even smaller and smaller, right? So they can disappear. I mean, we saw it. We saw boats disappearing when they backed off the zoom. I mean, I think even B-Ball acknowledged there are boats you can't see unless you
You
zoom in
can't
on.
resolve. Yeah, we can. You know. Listen, Gary.
Yeah.
If we know the size of the containers and the distance of the boat, we can predict pretty accurately and then measure with an instrument the angle they will take in our view, and we'll be spot on all the containers, even those who almost touch the water, but suddenly half a boat that we can calculate just the same is not there anymore
Because
of
it's
some
past the vanishing zone. It's
vanishing zone.
impossible.
Right.
It's impossible to get it on the pixels because the
What's
vanishing
this
zone
vanishing zone?
is in front. It's the limit at the ground. It takes up all the visual pixel space. You cannot things go past it. Simply get sliced off, slice at a time at the bottom. Each
How?
little slices at the bottom hit that angle that they can't be resolved as separate from the surface.
I know light comes from an object, goes straight to my eyes. That's all I know.
I
How
can't
it
see the
gets
last panels on the
kidnapped.
solar things they put out at the dairies. You can't see if you're on an angle to them. You can't see the last panels at all. You can just they're there.
It's the
But
surface.
you
You're
can't
talking on
see
the
any
surface
space in
again.
between them.
You're talking
Because
again.
light
You're
doesn't
going.
go everywhere. No, light's not what you think it is.
We know foreshortening is a thing, and you're talking about the surface again. But we talk about something that is perpendicular to the surface, Gary.
Perpendicular still has a surface. Does the side of a building have a surface?
Which does not suffer so much foreshortening, especially
Sure it
not in the
does.
distance. Not in a
Absolutely it
distance.
does.
No,
The
in
higher
a
you look
distance.
up on the object, the more
It's
foreshortened it gets.
negligible.
No, it's not
Negligible at the
negligible.
distance.
No,
It
that's what
is.
you like to think. That's what you like
You
to think.
well, you can go and measure it.
Yeah, no,
How
it's
much
not. There is a
foreshortening?
difference.
How much difference will you see between the size of the containers? How much do you think you'll see?
Yeah, it's going to be a small angle, but it is there.
That's what I'm saying. It will be a
And that's why I
very
said,
small
yeah,
angle,
you get a
even by
slice at a time off
percentage.
that bottom that reaches that criteria,
By
passes that
percentage.
Rayleigh criteria limit, and a
But
little
so
slice at a time gets smaller. And because the bottom of the ship is touching the surface, that little part is sliced off, just like the 10-foot wave that's
why?
5 miles
Why is
past
it
the
sliced
horizon you
off?
can't see. The same thing will happen with the boat bottom.
But
Exact same
why
thing. You
half
simply
half
can't
a
see it.
ship? Why half a ship that's touching the water disappear? When And we
because
know
past,
how to calculate
because
this
it's past the limit
foreshortening.
of the optics. A lot of those ships you couldn't see at all unless you zoomed in on, right? Were they behind curvature?
I don't care if we zoom or don't. We
Oh,
can measure them
no.
with a zoom.
Those
Why does
ships,
the
those
bottom
ships,
is
you
not
couldn't even
there?
see them. Just like
Why, Gary?
you
All
couldn't
this
even see
foreshortening
those.
we can. Okay, go.
No, you go ahead. We
Okay.
both started talking at the same time.
So I give you the chance to talk.
You weren't
So
interrupting me. We were both trying to go.
calculate. I gave you the chance to talk.
Is it my turn or yours?
Your turn.
I was trying not to interrupt you. We were both starting to talk at the
So
same
go ahead.
time. Yeah. Okay. Well, anywhere where that's above anything that's above your eye level or below your eye level is going to have more foreshortening than direct line of sight, which is 90 degrees to the perpendicular building that's sticking up out of the ground. Right. That's the only one that's not foreshortened.
Okay.
Because it's direct line of sight.
Absolutely. And I'm telling you that we can calculate how much it will be foreshortened. And we can measure it. And it will work just fine for the top containers. But suddenly where the water cut the ship, it doesn't work anymore.
Okay, the ship is no different than pretend it's a railroad track going over the surface, right? Let's just pretend and do a mind thing here. Okay, so let's say that ship is moving away. You have the deck, right? And you got the containers on top of the deck, but we're just going to concern ourselves with the deck and what's below it, right? Pretend that's a railroad line. It's parallel to the surface, right? The boat's on the surface, so that deck would be parallel to the surface, right? Right?
No, it's perpendicular.
Yes, no. If the deck, unless the boat is the boat. No. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about
the deck
of the boat and below it. It's the boat's floating in the water. It's moving away from you, right? You have the deck and what's below it, and then you have the deck and what's above it with the containers, right? We're just going to focus here. You don't even have to worry about the containers. They're higher above the water than the deck is, right? So you have the deck. Now just pretend that's a rail of a railroad track, and it's parallel over the water, right? So in the distance, what happens to that? It's no different than the railroad track on the ground. That space is going to compress to the point where you can't resolve it as separate from the water.
Now I bring a telescope.
It will with the telescope, but it'll just be further. And then you'll say, "Oh, look, it's half gone." No, it's beyond the optical device you're using, and it's beyond the angle available from your elevation.
Yeah, and I would
It's not that
expect
the ship itself is too small. It's just that
Again,
the angle available in your field of view is too narrow.
No, I bring a telescope and I can't bring the ship back. It's still unseen.
You can, if you watch one disappear, like come where you can't see it with your natural eye, and then take a telescope out, more than likely you're going to see the whole thing, and then you'll watch it go further, and it'll do the same thing. It'll become on the
Now
level of the
bring
bottom first.
a better telescope.
Then you'll just have to do it further. It's just going to keep going the same way.
Yeah,
it's
but
just, you have a limit based on you have a limit based on the optical device. A P900 and a P1000 is way stronger than my Nikon B500.
No, we're being
and so you're going to resolve things with detail that you can't see with my B500.
Yeah, well,
all of those are going to see more than I can see with my natural eye.
No resolution going to bring back half the ship.
Not if it's beyond the angle. If it's too far for the angle of your field of view, yes, you're not going to bring it in. I described it to you. You have a field of view. You have everything above your eye level, everything below your eye level, everything to the sides converging towards that vanishing zone, right? Center frame.
Yet everything above my eye level didn't converge, and everything below the horizon disappeared completely.
Yes. Everything, the bottom of the boat will disappear because it's no different than pretending that deck is a railroad track parallel to the surface. It's going off in the distance. That space keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller to the point. Yes, it does. We saw it.
Because we're not looking at the deck. We're looking at the hull.
The hull is I said the deck and I said the deck. Listen, Tyke, I said the deck and everything below it. Okay, everybody heard me say it. I said the deck and everything below it, and we take that as a separate thing from. That's what I said. So, Tyke, you're getting it wrong.
Excuse me. The deck is the hole is like the rail. The
Okay, when we
rail.
started this whole
rail.
conversation, Chaiki, I said that I just used that to pretend it's a track for the deck. I said,
Ah,
now take that
but
and
it's not
everything in
direct.
between it, which is the whole bottom below the deck. The whole.
But it's not. But it's not a track, and it doesn't suffer so much foreshortening.
Sure, it does. It's off as it
No,
goes
it
off of the
doesn't.
distance.
It's perpendicular to the
That
surface.
space between the deck and the surface of the water is going to keep compressing. It's like the railroad tracks to the
It
point where you
will.
can't resolve it anymore.
It will.
You can't see it.
The
It's
same,
it'll
at the same
look
rate.
just like the surface.
At the same rate.
I got
everything on the ship will
No,
compress.
but they're higher above that surface, so they're the
So
last
what?
thing to enter into that
Hey,
zone because they're the
Chike.
highest.
What's the
Chike, let me try
This is
Chike.
pretty simple.
Chike, let me read this comment. I'll try to do the quick super chats as they come in because they're related to what we're talking about. Like Tommy Grumble, who just gave me 20 Nokias. Look at that, it's up on screen. And Tommy Grumble is asking Gary to go make a drawing. Gary, go make a drawing. Shout out to Tommy.
Actually, I retitled one of my videos. I put Tommy's name because it has a drawing that explains exactly the same thing as happened in Ranty's Black Tower video. It's no different. Same thing. Parallax. Same thing. I changed the title. I edited it. So his name is in it. There's a drawing. It's the same thing. He'll never acknowledge it. It doesn't matter. So he'll just keep on copying and pasting. But nobody tells him he's copying and pasting when he pastes it 20 times in a chat. If I do it once, somebody says something.
No, but that's a super chat. You give me money every time you're gonna
No, he does-
paste. I'll be millionaire
Oh,
today.
okay. Yeah, but he does that in the regular chat all the time. He copies and pastes the same thing over and over again. He'll do it 50 times in your chat, and if he's in there for 2 hours.
Note that parallax is not in a single photo able to obscure things or move
No,
things
but you
up and
can
down
you
in
can
the
use
frame.
your mind to understand what the
I
parallax
didn't even get
effect
to
would be by
finish what I was
movement.
saying, but thanks.
Jose knows this. You can understand what a picture will look like if you move to the left or the right or up or down
No, I didn't hear
without
what
having to
I
take a
did.
second photograph.
I didn't hear what Doofy said. Kind of interrupt.
He's saying you have to have two pictures to
No, I
identify
need to hear
parallax.
him. I need to hear him say.
All right, so what I was saying was in a single photo, parallax is not responsible for obscuring things or moving things up and down in the image in that one photo.
Which photo are you talking about?
Well, you brought up Blackpool Tower and that image.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah, no,
parallax that's causing the. It's not parallax that's causing the scene to appear
it
the way
is.
that it does in that one. It's not parallax that's causing that scene to appear in the way that it does in that one photo.
Yes, it does. If you understand how parallax works, that's why I said, Jose, you know that you know how. Okay, quit interrupting whoever that is. It's a B-ball. Gee, okay, Jose, you can look at a picture and you can tell that how that picture would look different if you went up or down or to the sides or moved further back or closer, right? You know what the parallax effect would be, right? You're an artist.
Doesn't something have to be moving in order for it to be parallax?
No. A parallax effect is when something moves is how you notice it, but you can judge what a picture would do by simply moving up or down, left or right, back or forward. You can tell what the picture will do based on the principles of parallax. The thing closer, the angles change much faster than the thing farther away.
Hold on, let me
It's
read this and let's give Vivo a chance over here. But John Rapp with a big $2 super chat. You know what John Rapp is asking you, Gary? John Rapp says, go make a rubber band diagram board. A rubber bandigram board. Now, you know what? That's a good idea. If you make a rubber band kind of a box, you can do some tests with parallax using actual rubber bands, Gary. That's really not a bad idea. Think about it.
It's no different than I did a drawing on the parallax with Blackpool Tower. I could have done it with the rubber bands.
Hell yeah, try that, bro.
Rubber bands was just a simple device where you don't have to keep drawing them out every time. You can simply move the rubber band. It takes you 5 seconds versus 20 minutes.
Let's give Ertis
I thought it
Live.
was a good idea.
Let's give Ertis Live. Yeah, go for it. Talk to Gary for a minute.
I only have like 1 minute. I gotta get out of here. So
Yeah,
it's
I'm not going to answer any questions from B-Ball until he
It's all right then.
apologizes to
Well,
everybody about lying
thank you,
about what I
Gary.
said.
Gary, let me
If
hear
he
him.
does, then I will stop.
Gary, let me hear him because he's got a minute. So let him speak. Go ahead, Eric. Dislike.
so all I wanted to ask real quick, but he's not gonna answer anyway, so it's kind of pointless. But I mean, is
Make the
it
point
parallax
still.
is it parallax that's making the tower taller than the mountains in the background?
That's a good
I want
question.
to answer, but I refuse until he apologizes for saying what he said I said when I never said it. So
Okay,
until then, we don't have any questions answered from you. As much as I
I'm
want to
gonna
answer that question, yes, but I'm not going to answer your question. You need to
I'm gonna
apologize. Be a
if
man.
anybody
Grow up.
wants to go back and listen to that, if anybody can clip out a part where I said Gary said that Polaris is closer than the moon, I'll apologize. If someone can clip out that part where I said Gary said the Polaris is closer to the moon, or did I say Gary thinks Polaris is closer than the moon? If you can
Okay,
clip out the part where Gary
that's
said,
semantics because it's saying the same thing. Now
oh,
you're
it's
being
not.
semantical. But I know I'm
No, it's
pretty sure you said Gary said.
okay.
But
Go
even
back
if you
and clip
said
it out.
Gary thinks, that's
Go
still that's still creating a straw man. You still lied. I never thought that. You're
okay.
lying.
Go
Until you admit it, you're trying to squeeze out of it. You don't want to be a man. You don't want to be a
Go
man.
back.
You want to be a child. You want to just
Okay.
yell and scream.
All right. Go back and clip out the part where I said Gary said, and then I'll apologize.
Can you tell me which? I don't remember which program it was on. I've been on numerous ones. I'm not going to go listen to every second of every video.
Why are you holding a grudge?
No, because he lied. He straw man and lied. He said I said or I thought. Well, I'll let him right
So
now
what?
have thought, but I'm pretty sure I
So
said
what? What?
that he said
Are
I
you
said.
melting?
No,
Are you a
no.
melting
He
snowflake?
created a straw man.
All
He
right,
said I
guys.
said something.
We need.
Until he can
You're not
admit
a
that he's
straw
wrong,
man.
I will
Please,
not
Really
please,
answer his
quick,
please.
question.
We need to move on
hold
from
up.
this. Go ahead.
Really quick before I get out of here, I'm just gonna put out there that first of all, your diagram was a straw man to begin with. I'm done.
Okay, please give me a chance. Big super chat with anamorphic mind. Look, you're famous. You're on big screen. You're on TV right now. I got the chat box like right in like almost full screen. This is beautiful. And I got a $5 super chat from anamorphic mind saying, "Gary is the rubber band man. Facts and reality just bounce off of him." That's a beautiful thought, anamorphic. Are you the rubber band man? Boing
You know, I
boing.
tried to learn how to play that banjo music so I could do it for. I
That'd
won't
be
call him
cool.
a
Yeah,
name.
that'd be fucking awesome.
You
No,
know
no,
who
no.
I'm talking. You know who I'm talking about.
Still, dude,
And
anything
I was gonna try to get a mule braying in the background.
dude, if you learn how to play make it like a rubber band guitar type of thing and and learn something, that'd be fucking the best bit.
Yeah, and then if I had the mule braying in the background,
You talking about my friend Blue Marble?
I don't know. Am I?
Uh
What makes you think that?
huh.
Maybe you should have some cows in the background. You know, those little cows that shrink when they go farther away from you.
Yeah, cows do shrink. I went by a spot today where you could barely even see the cows in the distance, and they were actually
Cows
below
are
me.
awesome.
They were almost unresolvable, and they were actually I was at least 20 feet higher than them.
You understand
But
that
they were so
those
far
cows.
down, I couldn't hardly see them. They were just like a little teeny dot.
You understand
Perspective.
you understand those cows are far away, right? And
Yes, I understand
not
that.
small.
Love it.
Yeah, I understand. They're far away, so they appear small. They're not actually small.
You know, these
You
cows.
have dairy cows, Gary?
The
I don't have
vanishing
dairy cows.
zone.
No, I just work for the dairy industry. But I'm on dairies all the time. I go to
love
multiple
cows.
dairies.
It's a shame that
And they
there's
are
no
very
dairy for
nice.
Gary.
I love cows. I grew up on a dairy.
Mhm.
I've been in dairy all my life. I
Yeah,
love it.
I grew up in dairy country, upstate New York.
Yeah, I've never been there, but I know they have a lot of them there, or at least they used to. I'm in the San Joaquin Valley. We have more here than anywhere else on the earth. There are dairies everywhere. It's a big industry here.
It's been actually a fun show, more than I expected. We're gonna wrap it up and get out of here. A little bit late, and I didn't even want to go live, but I was in in an off state of mind, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go live and hang out with you guys. And beautiful, best decision I done today. I feel good. We had a good laugh and relax, and I appreciate. Let's do a round of final thoughts and get out of here. House have Alim. Final thoughts, man. Uh-oh.
Yeah, okay. So somebody needs to cut a clip of The Vanishing Zone and have the sound of Rod Serling's voice. You've entered a dimension of time and space. Your cows have disappeared into the Vanishing Zone.
Boom, man, boom. Before everybody leaves, for those, I had two big support on PayPal, and that was Dora Unku and Truth Nerds. Thank you so much for your support, because that PayPal, money go directly to the bank account, and I really need that money on hand right now. Thank you so much, and thank you everybody that supported via super chat. We had a bunch of super chats in there, so thank you. Let's go with Chaik. Chaik, final thoughts.
Good show. I'd like to, Gary, if you can model us, show us a model how cloud cast shader from above with the gap. I'll do mine for the next show with the mountain casting shadow from above without a gap and from below with a gap. And Gary is invited to make his own and show us how we make a gap there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shaik. I appreciate it. We got a final thoughts over here by Sharp Dressed Trooper. That's Mr. Victory. He say, final thoughts. Gary, quit listening to the cows. They are messing with you. The war isn't flat. Thank you very much. Sir Vic. Doofus Manfred, final thoughts, brother.
Oh, there's a lot of things I want to say. I guess I got to try and keep it short, though. Like Taiki was saying, it'd be nice if it was something that we could model, this vanishing zone, something with some kind of predictability to it, something quantifiable, something that tells us what we should expect to see off in the distance. That would be something that we haven't seen from any flat earther thus far. It'd be nice to see. And as much as we rule out things like angular resolution, as we did with that earlier example, and other effects, when he mentions, like when Gary mentions RC effects after angular resolution's been ruled out, that's the things that you have to watch for to note he's not interested in actually learning what the actual terms are for things and how they work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doofus. Always nice to hear you. You got a style. You got these sharp weapons on your words that take some people out, and people get so pissed off at you. You got some skill. You're looking out, and you actually don't use insults, or you just whatever you do, it works for you, man. Gary, final thoughts, man.
Okay, you can see the vanishing zone pretty easily just by zooming in and out. Level the camera, zoom in and out, watch the information get gobbled up when you back off the zoom, watch it unfold as you zoom in. You see all kinds of more information you couldn't see before you zoomed in. You see it disappear when you back off the zoom. That's the vanishing zone. As far as angular resolution, it's not that ships become too small, it's the angle becomes too narrow, and it only takes a slice off at the bottom at a time that has to reach that limit. It doesn't have to be the whole boat, just a slice at a time, like the 10-foot wave that's 5 miles beyond the horizon that you can't separate from the 5-foot waves at the horizon. You can't see them. There's not enough angle. That simple.
Thank you for coming, Gary. I appreciate it, and you're good sports. Doesn't matter what they say about you. You're all right, because you actually come in and you bring this very, very needed voice of the opposite view. Like, I need you here, man. And you actually got my back, because there was that one day that I still think last week or 2 weeks ago, I was here talking almost an hour. Nobody wanted to join, and you came in like, you know what, I got you. I got you back. So I appreciate you coming in and throwing yourself in the pit over here with all of us weird. Appreciate. We got Hannah Anderson. Good to see you, young lady, and a pleasure to have you here. What are your final thoughts?
Hey, yeah, it's been fun. I haven't been here in a long time, but it was a good show. Gary, I agree. He's been a good sport. It's hard to be in a room full of sharks and be the only piece of chum. So I agree with Jose. And it's good seeing everybody else.
Thank you,
And
thank you,
the
thank you.
ISS doesn't fly. It orbits.
I appreciate it, and always nice to hear you. And welcome anytime over here. And the last over here is Eugenus. Eugenus. Final thoughts, man.
I'm sorry, that's still funny. How's it going, Jose? Yeah, I've been gone a while and just decided to come back in just for the fun of it and just listen to the chat. I just wanted to point out that tonight we're all going to experience some foreshortening because we'll have one less hour sleep.
Oh, why did you remind me that I'm going to sleep? Have that extra one. Hey, thank you very much, man. Good to hear you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to everybody watching on YouTube. I really appreciate it. It's always fun because we got 2 shows going. We got one in voice. We got one full, all different animal going on in the YouTube chat box. It's always very, very active. And big shout out to those like Balanced Truths, Yon Tahuti, the ones, the flat earthers and the non-globers, that put themselves out there. This is mostly populated by the globe side, and you guys come in to take a beat. But I appreciate you that you enjoy that, dude. If you didn't enjoy to get tag team and tagging and having the interaction, you wouldn't be in here. So I really, really thank you all for being here. And you guys know that I try to keep it fair, as for no personal attacks. Some people, kind of step over the line a little bit, but if it gets personal, you know that everybody knows that I jump in. I try to keep everybody straight with the only trolling responsibly, and that's a plus. It's not a request. It's not a please do it. No, if you are here, you must troll responsibly. Leave a like if you made it this far. Leave a comment in the comment section. The first comment in the comment section when the up and render will be pinned. And that's been happening for the last month, and I will continue to do it. So come back, and if there's already a comment and you want your comment in the comment section pinned, just don't go out. Just leave your comment if you're second, third, or 20th. Big thank you all for your support one more time. Jump to Discord. There's still a bunch of people here, and everybody's welcome to the Discord. It's always open. If you are part of the Discord server, you can jump in any of the chat box, even if there's nobody here. Tag in at everyone or here, and make a combo, make a call. Maybe I feel like Ishi, and I say like, damn, there's 3 or 4 people talking here. Let me go live and we do a live show, or just jump in the Discord and use it. Don't abandon it too much. And we only get active in the live shows to get a little more participation in daily basis. Thank you very much, everybody. Jose JG out.